Hello, passengers, and welcome to the Midnight Train, America's second favorite podcast, where we bring the dark to light, where history never dies, and where listener discretion is always advised. We make fun of and joke about the creepy and unsolved mysteries of the world, all while bringing you as much information on each topic as possible. Yes, we are a comedy podcast, and things can get pretty dark. So listen, if you're not into it, we get it, we understand. But we, still just give it a chance. Give it a chance. See what happens, And, no hard feelings if you don't. But if you are, and you're even back again because you're like, whoa, well, hey, thanks for being here. And for you newbies out there, welcome aboard. I am your host, the conductor of the cryptic, Jonathan Sayer. And with me today, well, actually, it's a returning guest from a long time ago. And if you listen to our Patreon, then you'll probably recognize the voice. It is the one, the only, my wife, they're nice. It's Grace.
Hi, guys.
Howdy.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited about this one.
Well, of all people to do this episode with me, it would be you, and I'll explain after we get started here. Okay. So listen, we just finished up over a Patreon for all of you first-class passengers. We did the 3-part series on the trucker killers, and we had Chainsaw on there as a guest. Oh. And it was really cool. I mean, we did 3 parts. That's just how many there were,
crazy.
So if you want to check that out, as well as all of the other bonus content and support the show, listen, do us a favor, jump on over to our Patreon. It's patreon.com/the Midnight Train Podcast, or you can go to our official website, the Midnight Train. Well, that's a good start. The Midnight Train Podcast.com. And you can click on it over there and you can look in there and you can get your name. We'll say your name at the end of the show and your name goes on the website. And not only that, but you get our everlasting love and loyalty to you. We'll fight for you. All right. Just call us and Logan will be there. I don't know. Right. No. Anyway, so we'll save the rest of the business stuff until the end. So let's get into it. Let's turn down the lights. Adjust our seats, grab a drink, which we're drinking some wine tonight. Ooh, the wifey and I drinking some Josh.
Yes.
I don't like the fact that it's a guy's name. That's weird.
Why? Because I'm
drinking
name,
Josh. I don't know.
Would it be better if it was like Jolene?
Jolene.
Would you feel better that you were drinking Jolene?
Actually, I'm okay either way. It's very good. So anyway, let's just, let's go, what are we going to get? We're going to get nautical, I guess you'd say.
We are going to get nautical.
Or this is a horrifying episode for me. But first, here's a toast to all you beautiful motherfuckers.
Is that from the Cool Whips?
It's the Cool Whips.
Oh, boy. I have not heard this song in a long time.
It's so good. Oh, they know. They know. You guys know. That's how we get hyped up. It's our hype song. That's right. I switch it up every now and then.
Yeah.
And since this is like my song, I don't have to worry about, getting in trouble from the interwebs.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So this episode, oh boy, there was many times that I was just like,
really?
So yeah. So going into this
excites me.
Me being sick, does that excite you?
No, this episode.
Oh.
I've been talking about this for many years.
Really?
Yes.
Well, just to preface again, not only are you my betrothed and my PIC, but you are also the person that subjected me to one of the worst moments of my entire life by taking me on a cruise that I just was sick the entire time, and people were throwing up over the balcony. It was bad. Don't you say it wasn't bad. Listen, going to the Caribbean and stuff, I got to... and I'm deathly afraid of water, as most of you, if you're a returning listener. I absolutely hate it. I hate boats. I hate water. but I did get to swim with a dolphin.
That was fun.
Multiple dolphins.
Yes.
And they're huge and scary as shit.
I was actually so excited to swim with the dolphins until I was with them and they were like
Ginormous.
under the water.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like,
You can't see him.
where did they go and where are they coming up at?
Yeah. And then they come up and they're like, doing that whole thing. And their mouth is huge.
It was kind of scary.
And they're like, grab their fins, man.
Yeah.
Dance around. And I'm like floating with a life jacket on, like trying not to die.
And they're the animal that does the dirty with the,
Yes, they tend to, yeah.
So then you think about all those things and you're in the water with them. And I mean, I know they've saved people before.
They're super smart and they're badasses too.
Super smart.
But they're also very
they
horny.
Can kill sharks. Yeah. They're really horny.
And they blow up puffer fish just to get high off of them.
Really? I did not know that.
They're smart as shit, dude. It's crazy.
Is it like one group that does it to all the puffer fish?
No, they'll just go over to them and do this like little thing to them or whatever.
Stoner
and then,
dolphins?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess. Maybe.
Why not?
Maybe they're the aliens, the true people who own this great place we're at.
Dolphins?
Yeah.
I
got. Do they look like a dolphin? Anyway.
If you guys could actually physically see what I'm looking at right now.
Oh, yeah. It's fun.
It was very epic.
Yeah. It's as fuck.
Yes.
But we're not talking about dolphins.
Right.
However, okay, so according to the Maritime Inquiry Guide, approximately 400 people have gone missing from cruise ships in the past 20 years.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. What?
That would be the way I would get rid of someone. I've told you this so many times.
You said it in front of the freaking travel agent.
I did.
Yeah. I told you guys, if something happens to me, you know where to look.
Well, now I can't do it because...
Yeah, the cat's out the bag.
Cat's out of the bag. But it is a good idea.
So while this is no cause for general alarm, it's still a scary and concerning statistic. And the reason that it's not a general, it's nothing to be really afraid of is because approximately 30 million people take cruise ship vacations on a yearly basis.
In only 420 years.
In the 20 years, yeah. So it's not a lot. And that's also back in the day, too, when they didn't have the real high railings and stuff that you couldn't, whatever. People, just would go and get drunk and just be like, and just...
That's the way I'd get rid of a pirate.
Oh, boy. How are you going to get rid of it? Anyway,
you're
going to incriminate yourself.
And fall off the list.
You guys heard this. You guys heard it. So there are several potential reasons people disappear on cruise ships. Okay. One common reason is falling overboard, which can happen if someone accidentally falls or intentionally jumps from the boat.
Or gets pushed.
Okay. Another is suicide.
Yes.
As the stress and isolation of a cruise ship environment can sometimes lead to this tragic outcome.
Really?
Oh, yeah. People, well, they're saying people that are working on cruise ships or whatever, you might just flip your shit and be like, I'm done. And we will actually talk about one of those
I'm interrupting.
potential cases. No, we'll talk about it. No, that's why you're here, to talk. Finally, disappearances also occur during port visits. In all these situations, the person's whereabouts, going to port.
Yeah, somebody snatches someone up. Or they get drunk and get lost.
Well, remember, Alyssa took off on her own.
Yeah.
Our daughter, we landed in, I don't know where the hell we were. Some island. Anyway, we couldn't find her. She went off on her own. And we're like, little blonde-haired, blue-eyed little girl.
She was 17 at the time.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and she was probably hiding somewhere from us.
She was
she
just
could smoke a bowl or something stupid.
Not a lot's changed. Anyway, so going to the port, right? So in these situations, the person's whereabouts and well-being are unknown. Therefore, it is up to the ship's crew and authorities to investigate and locate the missing individual. And that's all from the Maritime Inquiry Guide. Okay? So it's basically their protocol, if that makes sense. Okay? So now let's talk about some security regulations for cruise ship disappearances. And I know that we were saying that only 400 in the past 20 years doesn't sound like a lot when you look at the scheme of things. But it's still something that it's huge when it comes to people that have, that have lost loved ones. You know what I mean? So there's stuff all over. There's actually a website that I will refer to quite a few times during this entire episode. So let's see. The Cruise Lines International Association, or the CLIA, issued a Cruise Industry Passenger Bill of Rights in 2013, outlining CLIA members' commitment to passenger safety, comfort, and care. The bill, which was inspired by cases such as Mr. Smith, and we'll talk about him, includes the right to disembark from a docked ship if provisions are insufficient. Am I doing the triangle thing? Is that what you're laughing at?
No, I was actually really laughing because what's the name of the team?
What team?
Oh, the association, whatever.
The CLIA?
What does it stand for?
The Cruise Lines International Association.
Too bad it wasn't Cruise Line International Team.
The CLIT? Really? Why? No one would ever be able to find it. Hey! Woo!
Well, women need to be in control of that because if it was for men.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So it includes the right to disembark again if, provisions are insufficient, access to professional medical care is lacking, and proper training of ship crew in emergency procedures is not adequate. So people can actually be like, I'm done with this, and bounce off. So the same year, 2013, Senator Jay Rockefeller introduced the Cruise Passenger Protection Act, which requires the cruising industry to provide critical consumer protections for passengers. Among other things, the bill gives the federal government more authority to protect cruise ship passengers, allows passengers to call a toll-free number to report problems while on board, and makes all cruise ship crime-related information public.
Yeah, that's got to be tricky because a lot of these cruises are going to different countries.
International waters.
International.
So basically,
cruise rules.
Well, what it used to be before this whole thing happened, and it still kind of is, there's like a real weird line, and we'll talk a little bit about it, is that wherever that ship is registered, that's the country who is basically in charge of anything that happens. At least was.
Kind of is like, so you don't need a passport if you're going from the United States out of the United States and back into the United States. So I guess that makes sense that they're in charge of you.
Yeah, but then you happen to go to some, I don't know, some country that doesn't really have the most strict laws, and then something happens to someone, and then it's now up to their government to do something about it.
So a lot of these places are islands, though.
Correct.
Don't you think that if it became a habit that you just wouldn't take your cruise, these places aren't like real huge places other than like the Bahamas. Some of these ports are like cruise line ports.
Yeah, they're tiny.
So the only industry that is coming to this country or island or whatever is those people who are spending money.
Right.
So you would think that their government would be strict on not making sure that.
But if something were to
happens.
come out and it was something nefarious, making that line and or their source of income, making them look bad, they may not be the most fortuitous in trying to solve said problems. That's the general synopsis of it. So additionally, the act mandates the Department of Transportation appoint an advocate for each passenger who has been a victim of a cruise ship crime. Okay, so they actually have their own person there to help them out and kind of, mediate between. So the 2010 Cruise Vessel Security and Safety Act, or the CVSSA, protects both crew and passengers. The bill requires the FBI, the U.S. Coast Guard, and the Maritime Administration to follow standards for crime prevention, detection, evidence preservation, and reporting of criminal activities in the international maritime environment. Some measures to prevent disappearance, deadly injuries, and criminal events include the implementation of peepholes in cabins for visual identification.
Ooh, I didn't even think about peepholes.
Yep. Security latches, warning devices when cruising under turbulence in high-risk areas, high ship rails above the deck, like I just was saying earlier, you know what I mean? Having them higher so you can't just jump over it. And technology to record and detect immediately if a person falls overboard.
So wait, peepholes was the first one.
Correct.
Because that's the number one thing that happens that people report. It's like the...
Well, they're saying,
one.
like, if you go to answer your cabin door and you can't see out to see who it is, like at a hotel.
Right.
So back, before this whole thing happened, they didn't have those. So if somebody opened that door, it could be anybody.
Don't people put like cameras on peepholes and things and they can record you getting dressed and I don't know.
I don't think so. It's like a revert. It's like it's made to be like one way, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, you can see like vaguely. I don't know. I've never been a peephole peeper. I'm just saying.
You've been a pooper, not a peeper.
Correctly.
Okay.
Yes. So cruise lines that violate the CVSSA standards are barred from leaving or entering any port in the United States, and the responsible individual can be fined and may be sentenced to up to a year in prison.
1.
So it's pretty, well, yeah, I mean, that could be anything, though. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not doing your job and somebody gets hurt, I mean, first of all, you're going to screw up the chance of, you know, a foreign, I guess you'd say, cruise ship coming to the United States where a ton of people would be normally boarding, you know?
Right.
So, all right. So the first disappearance here, some of these are super crazy. This is Amy Lynn Bradley. Okay. On March 21st of 1998, 23-year-old Amy Lynn Bradley and her family boarded a Royal Caribbean International cruise ship to Curacao. Curacao.
Oh, yeah. That's where the liqueur comes from.
I said Curacao. Well, it looks like it says Curacao.
Curacao. There's like different ways.
I'm pretty sure it's Curacao, though, because the C's got that weird little thing on the bottom of it. So,
okay.
So Amy had big plans to start a new computer consulting job after graduating from university, and this family trip was meant to be a vacation to celebrate her achievements and her bright future. 2 days later, Amy and her younger brother Brad went to a party at the ship's nightclub. They stayed out late, dancing and drinking with the ship's band, who were called Blue Orchid. Finally, Brad her brother returned to the family cabin around 3:35 a.m. and recorded by the ship's computerized door lock system. Okay, so they can actually tell when he went back there because he has an ID card.
Right.
5 minutes later, Amy came back, and Brad claims that, you know, he and his sister actually just sat on the balcony just talking before they went to bed. At 6 a.m. the following morning, or I guess you'd say later that morning, depending on what time they got back. We said 3:35. So 6 a.m., their dad, his name's Ron, went out to the balcony where Amy was actually sleeping out by the balcony. Okay. And, but Amy was not there. Okay. So Ron had actually woke up right around between 5:15 and 5:30, and he saw Amy kind of what he thought was sleeping in a lounge chair. And he actually told Papers later on that he saw her from just the hips down. Okay, you know, basically,
right.
Whatever. You know, there's something blocking his view, and that the door to the balcony was actually closed. But now, 45 minutes later, she just vanished with her cigarettes and lighter. So according to her dad, Ron, here, it wasn't like Amy to go anywhere without telling someone where she was going and what her plans were. Okay, she's a good kid, right? Or good young adult. So a bit nervous and perplexed, Ron searched the ship's common areas before waking the rest of the family up at 6:30 a.m. and informing them of his daughter's disappearance. The family went straight out and reported her missing to the ship's staff. The Bradleys begged the staff to announce Amy's disappearance and keep all 2,000 passengers from leaving the ship until Amy was found. Now, do you think they did that?
No.
No, they did not.
Likely not. So is this a balcony that everyone's connected?
It probably like what we were on, you know what I mean? Where it's kind of like connected over to another one or whatever, you know.
Yeah, but those have locks on them.
Right. Yeah. Well,
Maybe they didn't have locks on them?
Well, it may have still had a lock on it.
So you think like maybe a neighbor grabbed her and then killed her and threw her?
Oh, just wait. So yeah, the crew actually refused. They said it was too soon to make an announcement. They didn't want to spook, and that's 2,000 passengers that may be freaking out.
At 6 o'clock in the morning.
Correct. So at 7:50 a.m., most of the passengers on the cruise ship actually disembarked, and and finally an announcement was made asking Amy to go to the purser's desk. So now most of the passengers got off before they said anything. And then they say, you know, Amy Bradley, can you please come to the purser's desk, who is like the person in charge kind of thing with that whole thing, like an info desk, whatever. So if the majority of the people actually got off, then they're not even hearing that this took place.
Yeah, but do they keep an eye on who's leaving?
Somewhat.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
They know who's leaving because they know who's off the boat and who needs to be accountable for, so they don't leave anyone behind.
Mm-hmm.
So the body's either thrown overboard or still on.
Really?
What do you think? Or do you know this? No?
Let's just say that I did all the research, so yeah, I know all about this.
Oh, okay. So this isn't a mystery.
No, it is, and you'll see why. Yeah, it's crazy. So so all these people left and got off the boat, and so there was no response, right? So Amy is not coming around. So the staff decided to search the entire ship between 12:15 p.m. and 1 o'clock p.m. Okay, so now a lot of people believe that them waiting so long to respond to this whole thing is a huge reason why there are so many or so few leads into Amy's disappearance. Okay. So the authorities were then notified of Amy's disappearance in the Netherlands. Antilles, I think it's Antilles, Coast Guard launched a search lasting 4 days and concluding on March 27th. They initially believed that Amy had either committed suicide or had fallen overboard. Okay. However, Amy was considered a strong swimmer, because remember, they were docked. So it's not like they were out on the open sea or whatever. They were actually docked there. And she was considered a strong swimmer, and there was absolutely no evidence of foul play or anything else nefarious.
Proof and all.
So with hardly any significant leads to work with, 2 different passengers told Ron that they saw a woman matching Amy's description on the elevator with cigarettes and a lighter on the morning she went missing. Allegedly went missing.
Well.
Right. Aside from that, during the party the night before, Amy was also allegedly seen with a guy named Alistair Douglas, who was a member of the ship's house band, Blue Orchid, that we mentioned earlier. And his name, his nickname is Yellow.
They call me Mellow Yellow.
Yeah, whatever. So a video was taken of them dancing together. Okay, so they're having a good time. But Douglas here, Yellow, claims that he left the party before 1 a.m. Okay. First of all, I don't trust a guy named Yellow. Just going to say that.
It's a peaceful color.
Isn't that the color that they say if you paint a baby's bedroom, they're going to go turn psychotic?
I mean, I would think if you paint a baby's bedroom black, you're psychotic, or am I judgy?
You're judgy.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't know.
Judgy McJudgerson. Yep. There she is. She's back, folks. Hey. Oh, yay.
Stop it.
All right, sorry. So Amy Lynn Bradley's whereabouts are completely unknown to this very day. However, there have been a handful of potential sightings of her in the years following her disappearance, leading a lot of people to believe that Amy was actually kidnapped and sold into human trafficking.
Oh, that's a twist. But you know what really actually happened? Did she run away with Yellow?
No, nobody knows. These are all disappearances that are still unsolved. Everything that we're pretty much talking about. There was a bunch of disappearances that wound up with I don't want to give too much, but none of these people have been found that we're talking about.
Okay, so she could have jumped off the deck.
It is a possibility. She could have done that, but they're she actually was going on this to celebrate her future. She wouldn't not have taken her own life. Everybody said she was happy. She had just graduated college, and she is excited. This is a celebration that her family put her on a cruise ship with them. Let's go celebrate because you're going to be,
Yeah, that's horrible.
So suicide, I'm saying, is out on that one.
Well, pressure, stress and pressure.
It's possible, but
family pressure, that could be a lot.
She was just hanging out down at
a club,
dancing her ass off and having a good time.
Told her she wasn't his type, and she
just met him, though. You think she's that?
I don't know. You never know. Women are crazy.
You said it, and I didn't say that. Okay. So then in 1998, a cab driver came forward and said that a woman matching Amy's description approached him in a hasty manner, asking to use a phone. However, the authorities never verified the cab driver's alleged sighting. Why would they not do that?
Did he allow her to use the phone?
No. Because this is 1998. He didn't really have a phone. All he has is a CB radio, so he didn't really have
yeah.
So then in August of 1998, a Canadian tourist claimed to see a woman with identical tattoos, because Amy actually had some tattoos, and that made him confident that it was, in fact, Amy. He said she was walking with 2 men on a beach in Curacao, desperately attempting to get his attention. Okay. So he sees this girl and he's like, and she's like looking over, like super like
Help.
Yeah. That's what she's doing. So then in 1999, a U.S. Navy member reported that a woman in a brothel claimed to be Amy and asked for the enlisted man's help. Okay.
Did he help her?
Well, she allegedly told the officer that she was being held against her will, but he did not report it because he was in a brothel and afraid that his little visit would jeopardize his career. He ended up coming forward later after he retired, but didn't have any actual evidence proving that any of that
stolen. That's a lot of sightings.
So that's where you're at right now?
I would say so.
Okay. So when I say that this gets even worse.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So if you've never really wanted to drag an individual into a dark alley and curb stomp them until they see Jesus, allow me to introduce to you a piece of shit by the name of Frank Jones.
Wait, is this the same girl?
Yes. I'll let you know when, yeah. So in the fall of 1999, Amy's family received an email from a fella named, you guessed it, Frank Jones, claiming to be an ex-Navy SEAL and ex-Army Ranger. He told her family that he'd seen Amy and she was being held hostage by some Colombian folks in a housing complex. Obviously, as a former U.S. Army special officer, he and his team could attempt to rescue her. Yeah.
Oh.
So Jones...
Trying to get money?
Huh?
He's trying to get money?
Well, he did send two of his men down there to Curacao to check out the account given to the family by the witness, who was a cook by the name of Judith Margarita. Okay. So Judith had told the family that the heavily armed Colombian guards were holding Amy in a housing complex protected with barbed wire. She also said that she regularly saw Amy shopping at a grocery store and working out at a gym, and that she was often with a man with long blonde hair and tattoos down one arm. Margarita also gave the family an accurate description of Amy's tattoos and hummed a lullaby that Amy's mother used to sing her as a baby. Okay?
She wouldn't know that unless she knew.
Well, the family was convinced that she wasn't lying, that this is legit, this is real, right? And remember, all of this information, everything's coming from Frank Jones. So Jones sent the family a report saying that his men, whom he described as former Navy SEALs, set up surveillance points at the locations Margarita indicated and observed Amy, okay, so they saw her, in a dark green SUV driven by a captor with long blonde hair. So it sounds like this is the guy, this is her, right? The report said Amy was in a dangerous situation and under guard, and that Jones's men were forced to leave after a week on the island when they were fired upon by an estimated 10 different men. So they were spotted and they got shot at. Okay, so they were like, no, we got to go. They relayed the news and reports to the family in the next few months while asking them for money to fund their operations. Quote, he told me that he'd put Amy on his own back and swim her out of there, said Iva Bradley. That's Amy's mother. Then Jones finally told them, old Frankie here, it was time to attempt a rescue. But he needed more money to do that. So when the family demanded proof that the woman Jones was, that their men were actually tracking was their daughter, he sent them some photographs of her sitting on the beach with the blonde-haired man. Upon seeing the tattoo on her ankle, on Amy's ankle, her mom said, quote, when I got the pictures, I knew Amy was okay, and it was just a matter of time. Amy's family sent Jones more money, bringing the total amount they had sent him to $210,000.
Oh, that's you're talking about 20-something years ago. So
it's a good chunk of change.
That's like $500,000 now.
Right, if not more. Yeah.
Right.
So now $24,000 of that was out of their own pocket. Okay.
Oh.
But the other $186,000 was actually from a fund that was set up to help find Amy by the nation's missing children organization. So they actually put this fund together like a GoFundMe before GoFundMe was around. So the family flew to Florida and waited in a hotel. So he called him and said, this is what we're going to do. I need you to send more money to me. And he's like, I want you to come down to Florida. And so they go there and they go to a hotel. And they got there because Amy's father worked for an insurance company. Mm-hmm. And the owner of that insurance company had a private jet. So he flew them down there like, yes, go find go get your daughter. So Quote, we sat in that hotel for a week thinking any minute we were going to get a phone call. Okay, that's mom talking to prime time at the time. So I just want you to put all of this into perspective, everyone listening out there, and you, Grace. You have this tinge of hope, and then you're sitting there in this room, and at any time you're waiting for that phone to ring, right? Think about how just, I don't know, just think about how just debilitating that would be, you know?
I wouldn't be sitting in a hotel in Florida. I'd be in Curacao, wherever. With
what? Your 5'2" ass?
I can hide better than most people. Hide in a bush and pew, pew.
Pew, pew.
Right.
So it turned out that this piece of shit Jones had, shocker, hold on for it. Let's see if I can get it in here for you. There you go. Yeah, he never served in the special forces and had made up the entire story.
Oh my gosh. Did he really?
Yep, but it goes even more twisted, in my opinion. So he made up the entire thing. The picture of Amy was a fake, set up by Jones using one of his men in a wig and putting a fake tattoo on a woman that he knew to sit there and take the damn pictures.
Men's bodies are way different than women's.
What does that have to do with anything?
You wouldn't be able to tell from the picture that you're...
It's a woman. It was a friend of his that was a woman.
Oh, I thought you said...
I said a fake tattoo on a woman he knew.
Oh, I thought you said a man with a wig.
The man was the long-haired blonde guy.
Oh.
That was his buddy.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, so this guy that worked for him, he was
What
like, I want
dick.
you to... Yeah, a complete piece of shit.
Yeah.
Now, luckily, one of Jones's team members saw what was happening and turned in his punk ass. And in February of 2002, federal prosecutors in Richmond charged Jones with defrauding Amy's family of $24,444 and the nation's missing children organization of $186,416. He pled guilty to mail fraud in April and was sentenced to just 5 years in prison and ordered to repay the money. I personally believe that Ron, Amy's dad, should have been allowed to take a baseball bat and take that money out of his ass. But that's just my opinion.
Do people hide money up their ass?
I mean, I've never been to prison. I have no idea. It's called keistering, by the way. Yeah.
Keistering is hiding
things up your...
paraphernalia, right?
Yeah, that's hiding stuff up your bung.
Would you hide money up your bung?
I mean, I guess you could. It'd be awful shitty if you did.
Oh, boy.
Yeah!
Okay. So
all right.
They clearly
were
at an end with that?
Well...
Anything happen after that for that poor family?
So the years passed by slowly with hardly anything happening until 2005 when Judy Maurer, a woman named Judy Maurer, came forward and claimed that she spotted Amy in a Barbados department store bathroom. According to Judy here, Amy walked in, followed by 3 men, allegedly threatening her to follow through on some sort of a deal. Basically saying, you have to do this, you got to do this, whatever. So Judy claims that after the men left, the woman was extremely upset and said her name was Amy and that she was from Virginia. The men then came back in and took the girl away. So Judy reported the situation to the authorities like almost immediately and helped create composite sketches of the 4 people, Amy included. Okay. So later that year, Amy's parents appeared on Dr. Phil. They brought a picture emailed to them, depicting a, quote, distraught and despondent young woman resembling their daughter, suggesting that she was sold into sex trafficking. The photos were found by a member of an organization dedicated to tracking down the unfortunate victims of sex trafficking. Regarding the sex trafficking theory, some believe that the cruise ship's staff or the Blue Orchid band members were actually involved in her kidnapping.
Yellow.
I told you.
Bastard.
So Yellow, the band member seen with Amy, gave a story to the authorities that opposed, what it said on the CCTV footage. So all the cameras on board. He's like, oh, yeah, this is what happened. And then they're watching the video footage and they're like, no, it's not. So he's a liar right then and there.
Is he in jail right now?
There's also speculation about a waiter aboard the cruise. Okay. So this waiter approached Amy's family numerous times, asking them to pass on a note to their daughter, inviting her to get drinks with him once they got to shore. Okay. Now that's not horrible, but maybe the guy had an infatuation.
Yeah, I don't
but
think
yellow
so.
definitely seems like he's on my whatever.
I would say yellow.
But there's no evidence.
There's no body.
There's no body, no crime. Yeah, I hate to take that from
And
another
this was
podcast I listened
2002?
to. But this one was 2005. That's when this was.
Almost 20 years ago.
Yeah. So now, interestingly, the professional, you know how on the cruise ship they have that photographer where they're walking around just taking all these pictures and you can just go buy them? Well, the photographer there on the cruise ship printed out all of the photos that he'd been taken during the thing. Except when the family went to go look at any pictures of Amy, they were all gone. Like, all of them were gone. So it either leads...
There's a crew.
It had to be staff, right?
It had to have been staff.
Or is it somebody protecting the staff, like, or the ship itself? Oh my God.
You wouldn't want to protect the ship like that.
Well...
Because then that makes them suspicious.
Yeah, well... So then in 2012, a jawbone happened to wash ashore in Aruba. Local authorities initially thought it was linked to another missing persons case, Natalie Holloway, which I will actually talk about in the bonus coming up next week. However, once they cleared the bone of any connection to Holloway, the authorities stopped looking into it, even though 9 other Caribbean vacationers were still missing at that time. No DNA testing has ever been done on the jawbone. Okay? But it was determined to belong to a Caucasian. Now, I get not having the financial resources to follow every lead, but when a jawbone comes up, let's test the shit out of this. You know, let's figure out where the hell this came from.
Yeah, it's not like it was like a...
It wasn't a fish.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't...
Yeah, a jawbone.
It wasn't a freaking dolphin. It wasn't, you know what I mean?
Oh, boy. Are we going to...
I'm going to keep doing that the whole time. Yeah. You started this.
I'm sorry, guys.
So Amy Lynn Bradley, unfortunately, was declared legally dead on March 24th of 2010, 12 years after her disappearance. How? Well, because after a certain amount of time with...
Oh, really?
You can have somebody pronounced dead, but it depends on legalities.
So the family had him pronounced dead?
It may have been. It may have been. Oh, I would assume it probably was, because I think they're the ones that have to do it. So unfortunately, the truth about Amy is still a mystery. There are no verified witnesses and no remains found ever aside from that jawbone that those dickheads didn't test.
Well, that's a jawbone in Aruba.
There were still people... Okay, but let's just say that if Amy is one of the other 9...
That would be saying that there's only 9 jawbones that could possibly be in the ocean. And
Caucasian ones in the ocean in Aruba?
A lot of people die in the ocean, right?
I mean, I guess. But then you should still go through the proper steps and channels and get it figured out.
Probably still have the jawbone, and they should check on that.
Absolutely.
But I think technology nowadays
is way more advanced.
Way more advanced. Yeah. So it might be easier. And if
it would definitely be easier
in the industry, please go out, check that jawbone, and let us know.
Well, currently the FBI is offering $25,000 for any information that could lead to closure in Amy's case. Now, Amy's family is offering an additional $50,000 for information regarding her location and $250,000 for information that leads to her safe return. So they definitely want their daughter found.
I would too.
So, okay. So we'll go through this real fast and just give me like your quick, after hearing all of that, do you still think that maybe she may have fallen off or jumped over? Because it's very possible that almost...
It is so possible.
Every single one of those accounts may be completely fictitious because people see someone that resembles somebody.
That's initially what I was thinking.
Yeah, because you got to remember too, and I talk about this a lot. Eyewitness testimony is one of the most unverifiable,
right,
in all of law proceedings.
Maybe she was sleeping at 6:00 in the morning, woke up because she got sick from being drunk from the night before.
Very possible.
Went to go puke overboard and just fell.
Slipped, or maybe a wave or something hit.
Something.
And I mean, they said that that her cigarettes and her lighter were gone.
So maybe
she had them in her hand and she was going out to smoke or something. And I mean, the whole Occam's razor thing, or what people think Occam's razor is the easiest solution is the right one, right? Or the one that makes the most sense, I guess you'd say, is the right one. So maybe that is it. It's a direct line.
Yeah, you never know.
But I do think that that Frank Jones needs to be fucking kneecapped. Ugh. Could you just, what a despicable human being. Ugh.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. And then more people like sending, emails like and stuff and like they're not, and maybe some of them did have like, they were being fortuitous about it. Maybe they were. But I feel like a lot of people are either just dumb, like, oh my God, that's that girl on TV. You know what I mean? Or they've got some sort of like, vindictive, nefarious
Amy's
thing.
a common name.
Yeah, that's definitely a common name.
But when you really think about it, all those people, seeing a girl named Amy that meets all of that, like...
There's a lot. There's a lot. That poor family. I feel so freaking bad for them. I swear to God, if I could meet them and give each one of them a hug, I would. You know what I mean? Look, it's just going through that is just...
I'm sure.
Well...
That
was their first one.
I would buy a house down there just so that I resided there, and I would every day go look for her.
Oh, on Carousel?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we all know that Disney is a vast corporation full of evil lizard people and Illuminati, right?
Ooh.
We all know that, right?
Yeah.
Well, hold on to your buttholes, passengers. Because at the time of her disappearance, a young woman named Rebecca Corium was only 24 years old. Okay, and she was from Chester, England, and she worked with children aboard the Disney Wonder Cruise ship. Okay, so
employee.
This is an employee working on the ship, and I don't know if she worked. It says worked with children, so I'm assuming she was in like maybe the daycare on board the ship. So en route to Puerto Vallarta, Ooh, you like that? Mexico. From Los Angeles, Corium was last seen on video footage on March 22nd of 2011 at 5:45 a.m. in the crew lounge, talking on an internal phone line, wearing men's clothing, and acting visibly distressed. Okay.
Okay, let's say this again one more time.
Let's put all that together. So they were spotted. She was spotted at 5:45 in the morning on the video footage on an internal phone line, meaning probably talking to someone else on the ship. Okay. Wearing men's clothing and acting visibly distressed.
Okay.
Okay. So after hanging up the phone, she was never seen or heard from again.
She killed someone, stole their clothes because hers were dirty.
Ooh.
And ran away.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Ooh. My mind did not go there.
That's exactly where my mind went.
Wow. I am so afraid of you and turned on at the same time. Wow.
Go ahead.
I don't know. I like that. That's a cool feeling. So after hanging up the phone, again, she was never heard from. So when she failed to report for her 9 a.m. shift, the Disney staff were alerted to search the ship for her, but they didn't find anything.
Were they at port? Like, where were they?
They, did we just say that?
They were in Mexico.
Route. They were going from, they were going to Puerto Vallarta from LA.
That point in time, they weren't docked.
Right. They were like...
Oof. Okay.
Yeah. And of course, after her shift, she has to go and, whatever, hang out, do or whatever. But you're still on a ship. And this is the one I was talking about earlier about how maybe the ships can kind of have an adverse effect on somebody if they're not psychologically, able to handle it.
Especially those English people, right?
Hey, how dare you? Excuse me. We have a lot of English listeners. She did not mean that.
No, I was just teasing just because we did the 23andMe and you.
I'm super, super English.
You're super English.
Yes.
And I was just teasing.
So you're busting my balls is what it is.
Yes.
But I also found out that I'm also 20% Scottish. Hey. So anyway, so she didn't show up for her shift. And of course, they're like looking for her. The United States Coast Guard and Mexican Navy were contacted to search the surrounding ocean, but came up short of, anything about where she may be. I mean, it's the ocean.
That's got to be hard to search.
So according to Rebecca's father, Disney just disregarded standard operating procedures and didn't turn the ship around to look for his daughter. So when they first found out that she was missing, I guess their standard, the SOP, their procedures was to turn around. Not the clit. No, that's different. No. Standard operating procedures, okay. SOP. Yeah. So anyway, he's saying that they immediately right off the rip didn't do what they were supposed to.
Right.
Additionally, he states that the Navy and Coast Guard teams were given incorrect coordinates and probably searched the wrong area of the ocean where they were at.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this guy trying to get money out of Disney. Hush hush money. Maybe.
Well, we'll talk.
Okay.
So under the flags of convenience system, the cases, its jurisdiction, my mouth was like, you can't say that word. Its jurisdiction fell to the country of the ship's registration, which in this case,
The United States.
was the tax haven of the Bahamas.
Oh, I thought you said they were coming from LA.
They were coming from LA. That doesn't mean that's where the registration came from.
Oh, so they started
Somebody has
in the Bahamas, went over to LA.
Well, it's Disney, and how do you think that the rich get and stay rich? Well, they know where all the tax abatements and stuff are.
Ooh, yeah, you're right.
So
okay.
it's a tax haven, so
Yeah.
it makes sense, right? So anyway, the Bahamas, they were in charge of this whole thing, right? It's their jurisdiction, okay? So 3 days after her disappearance, Disney contacted the Royal Bahamas Police Force to conduct an investigation. Well, the RBPF, that's the police force, responded by assigning one detective to the case. Okay, just one. And that's, I believe it's superintendent. It's SUPT. I believe it's, is that short for superintendent?
I would
Okay.
say.
Well, his name is Paul Rowley.
So,
Or Rowley. Roya. I don't know. It's ROLLE. Rowley. But moving on. Anyway, so he was flown out by Disney, in a private jet to go to Los Angeles. He spent 1 day aboard the Wonder, that's the ship she was on, once it actually returned to port, and he interviewed. Okay, so I'll look at it this way: they put one person on it. There were 950 employees and over 2,000 passengers on the ship. This Paul Rollet, or whatever his name is, he interviewed 6 employees and none of the passengers. Yeah.
okay.
Not a good start.
Well, none of this is a good start.
Right.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. They're not doing protocol. So if
At
he
all.
doesn't find what happened, is that I'm sure it
Well,
makes them look bad. But
somebody has to pay the piper. So is this guy basically sent out to be the fall guy for them
Right.
and be inept at his
they're like,
job?
he didn't do a good
Yeah.
job.
Like, listen, you get
I
out there and you act like you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Or, don't know what the
Or
fuck you're
hide
doing.
shit, yeah.
Or find somebody that's a complete idiot that wouldn't go, wait a second, there's 900 employees and I'm one person and I need to interview them all.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So
yeah,
maybe
truthfully.
he was an idiot.
But only 6, though? Like, okay, I could see if he only got to half of them. Okay, I get it. But I mean, a phone call, you just contact them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Anyway.
Okay.
So after several days of quote-unquote stalled communication, Disney then flew out Rebecca's parents, okay, to meet this detective and the captain of the ship in Los Angeles. And regarding their missing daughter, they were treated what they called Disney style. That's quotes. According to Anne, that's her Rebecca's mother, quote, everything was staged by Disney. We were taken in a car with blacked out windows on the boat's back entrance as passengers disembarked from the front. They took us to a room where they played the video footage of Rebecca where mostly she appears to be fine. So they literally like scoop them in like, we don't want anyone seeing that you're coming here right now. You know what I mean? Which is shady as shit.
People are leaving the boat. They're not going to know who the fuck those people are.
Yeah, but then why just take them and just kind of push them off into a room?
Do you think Disney has a lot of cars that don't have blacked out windows?
I don't know. I think Disney's evil.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Or they could.
They are evil. They are.
Sure.
Yeah, they are. You just don't know.
I do.
So on board, the ship's captain offered the family his conclusion as to the fate of their daughter. Okay?
Suicide.
Is the captain. He explained that Rebecca had likely been swept off of Deck 5 by a rogue wave.
Ooh.
Her parents were then shown Deck 5. A crew, there's a swimming pool area for the crew, was right in front of the ship's bridge, and it had walls around it because there's a, whatever. They were over 6 feet tall.
She had to be pretty tall to hop over that.
You would think. Okay. They were then taken to the crew quarters and to their daughter's cabin, where they were shown a sandal that allegedly belonged to Rebecca and was recovered on Deck 5, where they said supposedly that's what happened after a rogue wave. Okay. The following day, the Coriums watched the shore as the Disney Wonder, it actually took off on sail again. Sorry, guys, this is what we think happened. We're leaving. Bye. And the ship just left. They have no idea where their daughter is, and the ship's like, well, we got a job to do. See you later. Anyway, so despite the police there in their case was an ongoing investigation, Disney considered the quote heartbreaking matter to be put to rest and laid flowers upon the site on deck 5 of the alleged rogue wave accident in a ceremony attended by some of the ship's crew. How nice of them. Yeah.
That's crazy.
How sweet. Unsatisfied with Disney's account of their daughter's disappearance, and fucking A right I would be too, the Coriums hired private investigator, a guy named Roy Ram.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He sounds like he's going to fuck shit up.
Why did you hump when you did that?
I was trying to pull my chair closer.
It looked like you were humping at that. I'm like, whoa, calm down.
Yes, because I just randomly hump the air every time.
My name is Roy Ram. That's right. Ram tough.
Turns me on.
Yeah.
Say Ram one more time.
That's Ram, baby. So now he's a former specialist of Scotland Yard. Yay! And sought the aid of Chester, an MP from Chester. Remember, she's from Chester, England. A Chris Matheson and former Deputy Prime Minister Lord Prescott. However, what they unearthed outside of the official investigation was pretty much way worse. And dealing with the possible fate of poor little Rebecca here. Disney has always maintained that a wave swept her off, right? Off of deck 5, right? Remember, that's where the pool area was.
Right.
Okay. And they think it happened between 6 and 9 that morning on March 22nd. However, there are a ton of inconsistencies with this.
Wait, isn't that weird? It's March 22nd. The last one we talked about was March 28th.
Well, that's probably like prime cruise time, right?
I mean, any time is prime cruise time.
Not for me, it's not.
Okay.
So anyway, one of the inconsistencies is that the weather and ocean conditions near Puerto Vallarta, where they were,
it wasn't crazy.
Right, where the ship was at the time, it had zero stormy weather. Nothing that would even, because remember that wave, a rogue wave, to get up to the fifth floor deck or whatever that is, right, would have to be over 100 feet high. Okay, to sweep somebody off and above the 6-foot walls around, the deck.
Yeah, no, it's bullshit.
Right, completely.
Okay.
So now the primary physical evidence of her disappearance is the footage of her talking on a phone, and that was her last sighting. That's the last time anyone saw her. Now, in his investigations, Ram retrospectively discovered that the CCTV footage had been cropped to hide the timestamp and location of that exact footage. So according to Disney, that footage was shot inside Deck 5, really close where she was, allegedly swept overboard. But after they looked at the real undoctored copy of the footage, Ram, and the other investigators learned that it was actually shot on Deck 1. And not even close to where supposedly this whole thing happened.
We have a camera system.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear to you, every time that we've ever needed footage,
it's down.
It's 1,000% down.
Always.
It's down. It blacks out right when we need it. It is the weirdest thing. We can watch our camera system 24/7 and everything goes so smooth.
Until you need it.
And then all of a sudden it's like, the time's off.
Uh-huh.
Remember the one time we had to give our camera stuff and they're like, well, this says 4:00 in the morning. And we're like, no, it was 2.
Right.
It was never right for us.
It's not. But this is
Disney. They have probably more money than we do.
But no, they found out that it was actually doctored though. So they know that somebody messed with the footage. It wasn't like they went in and was like, oh no, I don't know how that happened.
I mean, yeah, but that could be someone just going here, just snip this, put this here. This is where she was.
But it's on a completely different deck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, of course, copies of this footage have been denied to the family repeatedly. They're not allowed to see it. So the detectives who were investigating this, they saw it. And they're the ones that came back and they're like, this is what we saw, but Disney won't give it up. So another notable piece of physical evidence provided by Disney was that, you remember the sandal that we said we found up on deck 5? Even though she wasn't there. That sandal actually had another person's name, on it, and cabin number, and family and crew members insisted that the sandal was the wrong size and wasn't even close to being Rebecca's style.
Who writes their fucking name on their sandals?
Who knows? Maybe, well,
Seriously?
If you're going to leave it someplace, maybe you don't want... If found.
Right.
Maybe it says that. If found, please bring to cabin 5.
Okay, so where are you going to write that?
You were nitpicking some of the weirdest shit right now.
Because the friction on shoes, like you put something, like it's like tattoos on your feet. They don't last that long because
but you're only on a cruise for like a week or two.
Okay, I'm just saying.
You're picking the wrong stuff.
And it said room number?
Yeah, like I said, it basically, like, if found, I'm assuming it. I'm totally assuming on that. I have no idea. I would never put my...
Sorry, I will not nitpick anything else.
I would never put my name and cabin number on a shoe. Because then someone's going to be like, I know what cabin he's in.
Right, these are nice shoes. Maybe they have money.
Right, yeah, see. So anyway, they decided that, that obviously that shoe is not hers, is what the family's saying. And everyone's saying. So then a few months after Rebecca's disappearance, investigative journalist John Ronson of The Guardian actually went on to the Wonder, this ship she worked on, and tried to kind of piece things together here. Like, you got what they're saying, you got what the investigators are saying.
When she's
right. And it just doesn't make any sense.
Where's the shoe? How could it be thrown?
Right. So in talking with crew members, he uncovered suspicious and sinister intentions behind Disney's explanation of Rebecca's case. One crew member actually said, quote, Disney knows exactly what happened. That phone call she had, it was taped. Everything here is taped.
Ooh.
There's CCTV everywhere. Disney has the tape. Well, they actually said Disney have the tape in their quote, but it's Disney. So, yeah, I mean, think about that. That entire ship is just covered from stem to stern with cameras and whatnot.
Yeah.
And in the internal phone lines and stuff, they're having those.
Okay, so let's think of like worst case scenario, something that someone did there, like an employee could get them sued, and that's why they had to cover it up. I mean, I guess I would just think of how why would Disney want to cover this up?
Because that would, if it got out that somebody died or was murdered or whatever the case would have been, like saying,
you wouldn't want your kid.
Yeah. Exactly. It's Disney. You know what I mean? It's like saying, oh my God, someone shot Goofy. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to be like, and kids fucked up forever. And there goes Disney.
Well, then, yeah.
So now when asked about Rebecca, another crew member actually replied saying, quote, I don't know anything about it. It didn't happen. That's the answer I have to give. So the crew, it sounds to me like they've all been informed, like, you do not say a fucking word.
I don't know, though.
Well,
there's a lot of crew members, 900.
950, I believe it was.
That's 900 people. Unless this was a ship from Italy, then nobody's going to tell on anybody, or else they're afraid that they're going to get...
It's Disney.
No.
Disney has Disney money. That's it.
But what are they
if
paying
they want
off every single 900 crew members to like see no, hear no, speak? No, that has to be a lot of money. Sorry.
Let me. You're getting fired up over here. I like it, but just wait. Just wait.
Okay.
So now, her family and friends from England described her as a happy-go-lucky and energetic. Okay, they said she was always in a positive mood. However, working for Disney would require one to be an overall and have a just be happy and positive demeanor at all times, right? Or, quote, Disney wouldn't hire you if you weren't that sort of person. This is according to several crew members. However, other crew members and close friends to Rebecca on the ship painted saying a little bit different about her. They were basically saying that one crew member actually described her as a lovely girl with underlying sadness, quote, end quote. So she's on this ship. Maybe she does have a sunny disposition. Maybe she's getting homesick. Maybe she's tired of being on the same ship over and over again. Maybe it's starting to get to her. Okay?
Who is she talking to?
So in 2017, Tracy Medley, Rebecca's girlfriend and co-worker, aboard the Wonder, well, she decided to actually come out and say some shit about the disappearance. She claims that night that she and Rebecca...
Wait, were you really going to plan on talking about this right now? I just asked at the perfect time.
No.
Oh.
This is different.
Okay.
In fact, this is kind of fucked up.
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
right.
just prefacing
Never
that now.
mind.
So her friend, Tracy here, came out and said, listen, that night before she disappeared, that her and her friend engaged in a threesome with a boyfriend of Tracy. Okay. So according to Tracy, Rebecca had been super upset over, the fiery and passionate relationship in the weeks prior. The shock of sharing her lover with a male friend, or perhaps sexually, wanting to be with Tracy, may have pushed her over the edge. So they're saying that she wanted to be with Tracy. But so Tracy said, hey, how about me and you bang my boyfriend? And
you think it was Tracy saying that, or do you think Tracy was like...
Tracy came out and said that.
Was she like, my boyfriend really wants a threesome, and I think it should be with you because I trust you?
Yeah, whatever the case may have been, but yeah, she said that. She's the one that came out and said this. Now, whether or not it's true and it happened or not, you know what I mean? I mean, we really don't know. But what she's saying is that she thinks that maybe because that she's trying to get Tracy's attention and wanting to be with Tracy and had to do this whole thing, maybe not wanting to do it, and maybe it was enough to actually kind of like swing her mood and just make her extremely upset, heartbroken, especially, what love does to people. If she's in love with this Tracy girl, not saying she is, allegedly, if she is, and then this Tracy girl's like, yeah, I want you to come and rail my boyfriend with me or whatever it is, like that could really destroy somebody's sense of self. Because
especially if she was like into women and not men, and
correct.
She had to be with,
and
a
she
man
was doing this
to be
to
with a woman.
Exactly.
I could see that.
Right. So that's what she's saying on this. So and then she also believes, Tracy here, her friend, believes that she wanted off the ship and her life. Okay, she wanted to go back to her normality, and then climbed over the 6-foot railings of deck 5 to jump into the ocean. Now, however, all her friends and families from England, all of Rebecca's friends and family or whatever, they've always denied that Rebecca took her own life.
You don't want to.
Well, yeah,
you think that,
right? Well, I mean, at some point though, wouldn't it make it easier
to think that she killed herself,
as opposed to where is she, what happened to her, and you were if.
Let me ask you a question.
Boy,
you have daughters.
I do.
Would you think it was easier to think that your daughter got kidnapped, murdered, anything, or that she was forced to have a sexual relationship with another man while she was in love with a woman and she took her own life? Which one would be easier?
Well, I think, no, we were saying that the suicide would be easier to take in. That's what I was saying, is that it'd be easier to put a pen in it, or not a pen, but a period at the end of the sentence and say, okay, this is what happened.
Yeah, but
as opposed to sitting there beating yourself up over and over and over again. Like, that's why I'm saying I don't think it's easy for them to be like, no, she would never do that. That's not my daughter. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure I don't know what it's like. I can't even put myself in that position.
Yeah, none of us can.
You know what I mean? I could not even imagine. Hopefully. Yeah, no. And nobody knows how they're going to react to that. So maybe they are in some denial. You know what I mean? It's very possible. This is their daughter.
Yeah.
So anyway, they believe that it's all the law enforcement just fucked it all up. Okay, that they botched it from the very beginning. And, they only had the interviews with 6 of the crew members. They withheld evidence because, remember, they won't give up any of those tapes to anybody. Phone calls, maybe. Nobody knows who the hell she was talking to on the phone.
But that's sketchy.
Yep. And no forensic analysis. So they never forensically found anything. And
this was 2011?
Yes.
So it was closer to where they should have done those kinds of things.
But so those types of things, though, especially if you do have this sense of, you don't want to believe it happened and you're in, denial, then those are just adding fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
And listen, it could have just been complete incompetence on behalf of whomever.
Everyone.
Right. And that's 100% what it could have been. But unfortunately, if it looks that bad, from where you're standing and your heart is emotionally distraught from it, it's just going to exacerbate it to the point where you're just going to drive yourself crazy.
Family.
Yep. So a good friend and one of the last people aboard the ship to see Rebecca alive actually talked to BBC. Okay. He said, quote, I was never spoken to by any security or police at all. To call this an investigation is an insult. So in 2016, investigator Ram uncovered a ripped pair of shorts within Rebecca's remaining personal effects from her cabin. This is 2016. This is 5 years later. They were going through her effects and they found a pair of ripped shorts. Remember, she was wearing guys' clothing. So was she, maybe what Tracy was trying to say is cover her own ass, and maybe her and her boyfriend took advantage of Rebecca.
Or she had a threesome and then she grabbed clothes thinking that.
Why? And yeah, whose clothes was she wearing? Like, you know what I mean? Well, obviously we don't know because we can't find her.
Right.
But like, so she's wearing some guy's clothes and then she's on the phone. So what if this happened? She stopped maybe in the middle of it and maybe she wanted to. They kept going. Dude kept going. She gets super upset, bails out, just grabs the first clothes she can get. And the person she's talking to on the phone is her friend Tracy. Like, how the fuck could you do this to me? You know what I mean? Well, it's internal.
She's telling that I just had a threesome and fuck this, I don't want to live anymore.
But I mean, I don't know. That's where I'm at. I'm thinking Tracy's kind of trying to cover her own ass right now, because if it does come out and they do happen to find her, I mean, who knows what kind of DNA or forensic stuff we're going to find on her? You know,
that would be if Tracy killed her.
Well, not necessarily. If Tracy just came out and said, "Listen, my boyfriend had sex with her because we had a threesome," and then they find her, and then there's bodily fluids, things like that, and especially if there's any sort of sign of
forced,
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, who knows? So I don't know. That's, to me, that's kind of where I'm at with that, because if it's an internal phone line, that means she's talking to someone else on the ship. It's not like she's talking to someone at home, you know, and not saying she doesn't have other friends on the ship. I don't know. All of that's crazy, but that's the kind of shit that can drive you nuts as a parent. Think about that.
I would,
like, we're just talking.
Never.
Yeah, we're just talking on this, and it's making me go crazy. So anyway, so anyway, they were saying that when he found the ripped shorts, he and other law enforcement actually believed that this actually pointed to signs of a struggle and perhaps even a sexual assault before her disappearance. So even Ram thinks this is a thing.
DNA now.
Now they can. Well, this is in 2016, so DNA was prevalent then as well.
I'm sure if they recheck it.
And they could, but it's all contingent on who's paying for that. If this
Disney should be paying
but
for
if this ship is from the Bahamas and the Bahamas either can't afford it or says, no, we won't do it, it's not like you can, you know what I mean? You can't, unless you get the FBI or the U.S. legislature.
Well, she's from England.
Right. Well, yeah, even at that point. So, yeah, that's going to be
United States involved.
So, who does what at this point in time?
Ugh.
That's why when you were saying that it's like a perfect place too, it honestly is the perfect place to.
I know. I wish I wouldn't have been on this show now.
They're coming for you. So,
I haven't done anything yet, so I got to switch it up.
I'm going to knock on wood for myself. So months after her disappearance here, her family noticed that there had been activity on her bank account and a changed password on her Facebook. Now, okay, this is the Matheson from Chester. He says, quote, I believe there's sufficient evidence to indicate a crime may have well taken place. Now, all these years later, friends and family are still searching for answers to the same questions here. And although the case has primarily gone cold up until this point in time, obviously the family still wants to know what the fuck happened.
I really hope they do find out what happened. It's very sad.
And what's going to have to happen is that somebody's going to have to, a cold case detective or whatever is going to have to pick the case up, and he's just going to have to sink his teeth in and just go at it. You know what I mean? But then the problem again is it's so expensive. So again, I understand, but it's like, who's paying for this? It sucks. It really does suck. It's horrible. So hopefully, something comes up with that one as well. So now on to George Allen Smith IV.
Oh, a dude.
This is a dude, and this is there's not a ton on this one. I mean, there is, but not as much as the other ones. So he was just married for 11 days. Just got married. Was on a honeymoon cruise.
Ooh.
All right. He was 26 years old and aboard the Royal Caribbean's Brilliance of the Seas, sailing an Eastern Mediterranean itinerary. So he was going Eastern Mediterranean.
Yeah.
And he apparently, supposedly, allegedly, went overboard somewhere between Greece and Turkey.
I really want to take that cruise.
I don't now. I'm not taking any cruise. Anyway.
I'm going to take that cruise.
Will you have fun? I'll be...
swimming with the fish.
No, fuck that. I'm not swimming at all. No. Yeah, unless I'm dead, that's it. So, unfortunately, his body was never discovered, and no one was ever charged with any kind of crime. So now the officials, of course they do, ruled as assumed death an accident, but one tourist camera captured a large stain, supposedly a blood stain, on a ledge about 20 feet below Smith's cabin balcony the following day.
Where's the wife?
Well, we'll get there.
Okay.
But however, they actually removed that stain. The ship's staff went and were like...
Do you remember when all those people were puking off the balcony and it went...
Yes, Grace, I do.
Our balcony?
Yes.
And within minutes, we didn't even call. There were employees coming and cleaning.
Mm-hmm. But this happened right after he died. And they went in and they cleaned up what is alleged to be a bloody stain.
Okay, that's weird, but...
Right. But now, listen, could it have been a stain where somebody accidentally fell over and smacked their head on a rail? Or were they bleeding before
right.
they hit the... You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's a lot of... But whatever. So, in addition, a bloody handprint was found along a railing where the stain had actually been spotted. Okay, that's suspicious. Okay. Yeah. So the story captivated international and national media attention for months and even years after the incident. As a result, his family in Greenwich, Connecticut, they strongly believe that he was actually a victim of foul play. So now, the evening of the incident, his wife, this gentleman's wife, 25-year-old Jennifer Hagel Smith, was found asleep in a public area of the ship and was escorted back to the cabin that she shared with her husband.
By her husband?
No, it says she was found asleep, so I'm going to assume that it was the staff that found her. Like maybe she was kind of snookered. You know what I'm saying?
I've never been snookered before, so
yeah, you're correct.
I've never fallen asleep while being snookered before.
Correct, so not at all.
I would not know what you're talking about, but if I did, I could try to imagine.
I wish I had something that just said liar. So the Royal Caribbean personnel reported no sign of her husband at the time in the cabin. So when they brought her back there, didn't see him anywhere.
Okay.
Later, his wife settled out of court with the cruise line for $1.1 million. However, his parents said fuck that and sought to overturn his wife's settlement. As a part of that action, the original settlement was increased to $1.3 million, and then they split it. And Royal Caribbean agreed to release just certain documents. And that's kind of what made them go further into an investigation. All right. So as a part of all that, the original settlement, like I said, was 1.3. So Michael Jones, this is the family's lawyer, says that some documents released by the cruise line, it's pretty fucking suspicious, on 4 young men last seen actually walking George back to his room. And George was fucking hammered. Remember, his wife was so hammered that she passed out.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, correct. Everything we say here is alleged. Just know that. Everyone listening. So what they're supposedly saying is that there was documentation of these 4 guys basically walking him back.
And then maybe he kind of came to, and because he was so drunk, lashed out at these guys.
It's possible. Or maybe these were buddies of his that he met. You know what I mean?
Fought him.
Possible.
Like maybe he was like trying to get all aggressive.
The drunken fighter guy with beer muscles.
Right. Yeah. And then they went to go tame him and ended up, I don't know, maybe hitting him, knocked him out, and then he wasn't breathing. And
And all of that is
There's
possible.
blood
possible.
on something, and that's how they got the handprint. And they didn't probably mean to kill him because
Well, you have
they
an
were
awful
just
lot of
defending
speculation
themselves.
in you tonight.
I don't know. I'm just trying to think of what it could be.
You have an awful lot of speculation. Well, Michael Jones, the lawyer here, told the New York Post that Josh Askin, a San Diego State University student at the time of the disappearance, actually failed an FBI lie detector test when he was interviewed about what may have happened to old Smith here.
Those things don't
old George.
work.
They're completely well, they're good at freaking people out.
Right. Yeah.
Because you can't use them in court. They're inadmissible, 100%.
Right.
But what happens is that if you do happen to fail one and you go...
You're suspicious.
Yeah, you go, well, you actually failed this. Not only did you just fail this, you failed it miserably. Then immediately somebody who doesn't have the wherewithal or the werewaffle to actually hold on to that, like, no, I didn't, then they're going to crumble, or it's easier to make them crumble. So that's the only reason it's a good tool to use. And that's why they still have the damn thing. It's completely inadmissible. You know what I mean? It's like having freaking, I don't know, having a computer that you only use as a paperweight. You know, it just doesn't, there's no point in having the damn thing other than to fuck with people. So anyway, back to this. So anyway, this guy fucking failed his shit, right? So now during a deposition with Michael Jones here, Askin reportedly invoked his Fifth Amendment rights against self-incrimination, which we all have the right to do. But Askin's lawyer denies that his client had anything to do with Smith's disappearance and said that Askin passed a previous polygraph test. So he failed the second one, but he passed the first one.
Why would he go for a second one?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. Maybe he doesn't think he did anything wrong.
And who is this guy?
He's one of the people that they believe walked...
yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, he's lying.
Which we're kind of talking, we'll talk about it here. So Askin and Rostislav, Rusty Kaufman, and cousins Greg and Zachary Rosenberg were the last people who reportedly saw Smith before he vanished. So the last of those three are naturalized Russian-American citizens who live in Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, yeah, they totally did it.
Now, do you want to hear something completely heartbreaking?
I've been listening to things that are completely heartbreaking.
Well, this is going to take it up a notch.
Oh.
So this...
Is there an animal involved?
No.
That'd be heartbreaking, too.
Well, this is a letter posted on an international on internationalcruisevictims.org. Remember that website, by the way. On their website from George's new bride. Quote, after being together since June 8th of 2002, George and I were ecstatic to get married and embark on a romantic 12-day Mediterranean cruise that we had excitedly planned together. We were halfway through our honeymoon cruise that was nearly as joyous and memorable as our wedding day until the unthinkable happened. A night that began with a romantic dinner for two ended with the tragic death of my husband. George had, quote, accidentally fallen overboard, according to cruise officials and the ship's captain. Not realizing anything was amiss until receiving the horrifying news from cruise employees who had found blood beneath our balcony, I began going in and out of shock. The nightmare for all of us had just begun. Though we assume that we have all of the rights of U.S. citizens aboard these mainly American cruises, the captain insisted I leave the ship in order to undergo a day of interrogation by Turkish officials. The captain lied about where I was going and with whom, but more importantly, he appeared satisfied to get me off the ship, expedite the investigation, and keep his schedule. The captain did not seem very concerned about my husband, and to this day has repeatedly lied about how this tragic news was relayed to us, the way he conducted himself the day George disappeared, and how he prematurely labeled this an accident, and influenced the way in which George's death was investigated from the start. We wish that the ship could have remained in Turkey so that other important witnesses and people of interest could have been interviewed and or interrogated as well. Crucial statements from neighboring cabins were not taken, along with statements from all of the passengers last seen with George as well as crew members. It seems that an abundance of evidence and more important clues sailed away that evening with the cruise ship, as opposed to being uncovered by the FBI, who did not board the ship until 2 days later. George and I left together newlyweds, in love and so excited about our trip. Now I was flying home alone, a distraught and confused widow, and all of our lives would never be the same again. Months and months pass by and we still have no answers. Our future together, along with all of our hopes and dreams, have been shattered, and we all simply deserve to know the truth behind what happened to George. One by one, as each family member and friend learned of this tragic news, their hearts were breaking for George, for the life we would no longer share, for the children we would never have, and for our families and friends devastated by his untimely death. My family and I miss George desperately and are dedicated to unfolding the mystery surrounding his death. We seek answers that can only be found with vital information held by the cruise line. We continue to pray for Royal Caribbean to have the courage and heart to give us, his distraught family and friends, the information and answers we need in order to find peace and justice for George. George's caring and compassionate nature, his witty sense of humor, and zest for life made him someone my family and friends loved to be around. To George, his friends from both home and college meant the world to him, and he considered them all to be his family. From the very beginning, we both knew we had found a great love in each other, and George quickly became a part of my very large and loving family. My parents considered George to be like another son to them, and my siblings considered George to be their new brother long before we were ever married. We have all suffered an immeasurable loss, and with each day that goes by without answers, the hole in our hearts grow exponentially bigger. We love you and miss you, George. We also pray for the entire Smith family, as they are now my family too. We know that George's death has also created a huge hole in your lives too. I will love George forever. I continue to offer a $100,000 reward for new information directly leading to the arrest or conviction of the person or persons responsible for my husband George's death. Someone knows the truth about my husband's death. Will you help? End quote. I mean, like, you can read stuff all day long and you can hear like quotes and stuff, but when somebody like this is the wife, the new wife, and she's going on there and like reading her words, like her exact words. I don't know. There was something about that where I'm just
that was well written.
Yeah, even now I've got like goosebumps and stuff.
Do you think she wrote that, or do you think like somebody that works for an attorney's office that's trying to sue the Royal Caribbean?
Either way, I think it was very well put.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well stated. Yeah, and it sucks too.
I don't know any 24-year-old that could write like that.
I disagree. No. I'm pretty sure that all of our children could write like that if they had the time and back up and me doing their papers for them. Anyway,
doing their papers like you did for me.
Yeah, correct.
My whole degree.
Yeah.
I mean, so anyway, I had the thoughts, so maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that one, what do you think?
I think that they both got really drunk. They both got escorted to the room. He probably somehow got hurt. They threw him off the board.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that's probably the safest measure with that. But again, though,
way is the safest way, or what did you say? Safest is the easiest.
It's Occam's razor. Yeah,
right.
It's the most basic explanation is the right one.
Right.
Yeah.
See, I listen to you.
Yeah, you do sometimes, especially
times.
when you have cans on your head and me with a microphone. But yeah, truthfully, I mean, especially with the blood and stuff, that sounds like, that sounds really like something obviously happened. And maybe he did start like, who the hell are you? Get off me. Where's my wife? And, you know, all of a sudden one thing leads to another. Alcohol, instant asshole, just add alcohol. Remember that?
Yeah.
You know?
And when you're in a different country, you think of the worst things.
Yeah. I mean, truthfully, that to be honest, that probably is what happened. But will we ever know?
No.
Probably not.
I think none of these.
Now, this one is strange to me.
Oh, okay.
Real strange. So this is so Fariba Amani was a 47-year-old Vancouver Canadian woman, and she vanished in February of 2012. And these are all like very closely in the same kind of time periods.
Yeah.
She disappeared from the ship named Bahamas Celebration somewhere on the high seas between the Bahamas and Florida on February 29th.
Right by March.
Yeah.
But a month away.
Right. So the disappearance triggered an 84-hour, 10,000 square mile Coast Guard search for Amani after her boyfriend Ramiz Golshani, who was 46 at the time, reported her missing to Celebration Cruise members shortly after it returned to port. Now, the police and the FBI boarded the ship and launched an investigation. Yet not a single trace of the mother of two was ever found. At the time, Amani's family hinted that her boyfriend Gulshani, whom he's the guy that reported her, missing, whom they had never met during his 8-month relationship with her, likely knows more than he's letting on.
Okay.
So, quote, I don't think this was an accident. She didn't drink. She couldn't have just stumbled and fallen off board, said her sister. And particularly disturbing here, says the family, is that Gulshani hasn't said anything. Like, her boyfriend is not saying a word to anyone about anything.
Have you ever been convicted? Like, have you ever been accused of anything?
No, I'm saying he's not saying anything to even the family.
Legally.
Like, at all.
You would be advised to not talk about anything to anyone ever.
So to the family of the person you were dating that is missing, you would not even go and talk to.
I would.
You know what I mean? Like, so they're saying, quote, he has not reached out to us. He has not contacted us. This is her sister still talking. So all of them live near Vancouver, British Columbia, and she'd been suspicious of him ever since her sister told her the relationship was starting to sour and that she suspected that he was cheating on her.
Oh, yeah, he did it. Fuck him.
Right.
Just teasing. I don't know who he is. I'm just going to listen.
So Fariba Amani consulted a private detective, but later decided not to employ him because she feared what the boyfriend's reaction would be. Quote, she said her boyfriend was extremely controlling and needed to know every move, every minute of the day where she was. This is from a private investigator. Now, if the parent or her family for 8-9 months never met the dude whatsoever, it sounds to me like he was very controlling. You know what I mean?
They lived near each other?
Yeah, not far at all. So her sister said the relationship had been falling apart. Quote, she was afraid he would be mad at her. And then Gulshani actually did tell the Vancouver Sun that he was told investigators, or he has told the investigators everything he knows, but it's just been quiet, okay? Not even talking to the family since returning to British Columbia because of what an emotional time it has been for him. Okay. Quote, you don't know what happened to me over this last week, he said. This is when he was talking to the Vancouver Sun. Quote, I haven't slept for 10 hours in 1 week. Let's see. Last week at this time, we were sitting and watching a comedy show on the ship. 2 hours after this, she was missing. I am missing a loved one. Both families love her. We want her safe back home right now. So now he's not a suspect, and the police and FBI would not comment other to say that the investigation was still ongoing. And when confronted at her door by the media, Gulshani, the boyfriend's sister, said, quote, he doesn't know anything. He has gone through interviews with the FBI in the States, and they told him that he's free. He can go, and he doesn't know what happened. But Amani's sister said that she intended the cruise to be a final litmus test for the relationship. Like, I'm going to go on this cruise with him. Shit's not working out.
Yeah.
When I come home, this is either it's make or break, right? So, quote, she would go on the cruise and see because maybe the relationship would get better afterwards. But if it wouldn't, then she would break up with him. That's what the sister is telling the reporters. So now Gulshani, the boyfriend, told investigators that they'd been together after the Celebration Bahamas left port in Freeport, Bahamas, taken off to Palm Beach. Remember, we said they were going to Florida. He'd last seen her at the ship's gift shop before heading to the casino around 1 o'clock in the morning, and then he later went to bed by himself. When the ship reached the port of Palm Beach around 7 a.m., he says he woke up and began searching the ship for her. At around 8 a.m., he told the crew, and 2 searches, took off, like they started searching, 2 different ones, as passengers began to disembark the ship with this 1,100 passengers on this one. But obviously they didn't find her. So customs officials confirmed she was on the ship when it left Freeport, Bahamas, whatever, around 8 p.m. because every passenger must swipe a card to get on or off the boat.
Right. That's what I was saying earlier.
Right. But her whereabouts over the next 12 hours as the ship was just cruising through the international waters, nobody knows anything about this.
Huh.
Okay. What are your thoughts on this one?
Maybe she got kidnapped.
It's possible.
By somebody on the cruise ship.
Maybe. Can you swipe more than one card at a time? Can you have like 2, like if me and you were together or whatever and I was like, oh, I have hers. Could you do that?
No.
So it's individually?
Each person, I think gets checked individually. Like you have to go through like, detectors, and they check you on the way out. It's just like customs to check you on the way out, check you on the way in.
Okay, well, then that means she was on the boat. And if that's the case, then she just disappeared.
So I'm thinking somebody must have done something, or the boyfriend. I don't know.
I mean, they always say that if the authorities are saying that he's not a person of interest, then he's not a person of interest. Whether he's a really good liar and a good bullshitter, but they always look directly at the husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever.
Yeah.
The significant other is always the first person they look at.
Okay, so you're talking about a 42-year-old woman, right?
Yep.
Who has 2 kids, who's in a 8-month relationship.
Correct.
Do you think that there's a possibility that maybe, I don't know, she was like, I'm not really into this guy, and telling her family, like... Well,
yeah, she was telling her sister that this was going to be like we're going to go on this cruise and see what it's all about, and if I come home not feeling it still, I'm ending it.
Yeah, women say that shit all the time.
But maybe the reason that he left her at the gift shop is because they got into some sort of stupid fucking argument, and he went back. Remember, he went to the casino and then went back to the cabin by himself.
Right.
So maybe he was like, well, fuck you then.
Right. Which happens all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people argue, especially if there's already tension there, though.
Right.
So who knows? I don't know about that one. This one, I don't know.
It doesn't sound like she fell off board, though.
Unless she was, I don't know. Could she have been distraught and jumped off? I don't know why she got 2 kids at home.
This is not enough evidence.
That one's weird. Yeah. So now this one is about a woman named Annette Meisner. She was 37 at the time of her disappearance, and she was from Waukesha, Wisconsin. In December 2004, she was on a week-long vacation with her parents and teenage daughter on the Carnival cruise, the Carnival Pride. Meisner was last seen at 9:15 p.m. on December 4th, while the ship was 30 miles off the coast of Ensenada, Mexico, 120 miles south of San Diego, California. So the boat was taken off for Long Beach, California, and was scheduled to arrive the following day. So she disappeared, and they started looking for her around 10 p.m. There was no sign of her aboard the ship, although her purse was found next to a 3-foot railing on one of the lower decks at 11 p.m.
Why would you have a 3-foot railing?
Yeah, that's stupid.
On a lower deck.
Yeah, that's so dumb. So dumb. Well, I believe most of that's changed now. There's no railings like that. Well, I guess they don't. I don't know. It's dumb. It's whatever.
She went overboard.
Okay. So her loved ones stated that she would have avoided that deck as it was a smoking deck. She hated smoke. She despised everything about it, and she was like, I would not go there.
She met a dude who is a smoker.
Well, it's very possible. So some of the beads on the purse were actually missing when it was found, and the passenger who found the bag stated that a nearby security camera was actually covered up. So
the camera was covered?
Correct.
Like they threw something over it, then dropped the purse, and then ran away?
Right. This is what the passenger who found it stated.
Okay.
So now the authorities believe that she fell or was pushed overboard, but there were no witnesses at all. So now suicide is considered highly unlikely, although she filed for bankruptcy shortly before her disappearance. And her loved one stated that she was not depressed. An extensive ocean search revealed that there were no clues, anything. I mean, you go in the ocean.
That's why it's a perfect plan.
Yeah, all right. Stop saying that. I swear, this show, we always talk about like these perfect ways of like doing things like that. And one of these days, it's going to come back. You guys you're on your own. I'm telling you right now, hands off. All right. I'm out. Done.
Hands off with what?
Like giving people ideas.
Oh, so we're telling people how to do things.
Right. We do it all the time. Yeah, we got to stop. So now Meisner was declared legally dead in July of 2005. She has a daughter and a son and adopted 2 additional children shortly before she disappeared.
Yeah, there's no suicide there.
Right.
She got murdered.
She got a bachelor's degree in marketing from Upper Iowa University, And she and her husband ran a business together.
Oh, she's married.
Yep.
What kind of business?
Dietary supplements.
Pyramid schemes.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's a story. No, maybe it is.
I'm just teasing.
Now, her case does still remain unsolved. However, the family believes that obviously there was foul play involved. And in November 2005, her husband sued Carnival Cruise Lines for over $15,000 in damages. That doesn't seem like enough to even. I guess there is no
get an attorney.
Funeral, but yeah, that doesn't. Does that
like
that seems
your
so?
Attorney gets
at least 10%.
Yeah, maybe they did. Maybe he filed for more, and then they were like, "Meh, you're asking for 180 billion. I'll give you 15,000."
And he was like, "I'll take it."
Right, I'm going to get something.
Yeah, no, $15,000 for my wife disappearing. Get the fuck out of here. That is crazy. That's not enough. That's not enough.
That?
No, $15,000. No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
I'm not saying that I would want that. I'm just
not at all. That doesn't. And to me, that almost seems odd that they settled on $15,000.
Well, the husband wasn't there.
Correct. But was somebody else there that maybe the husband knew?
And then he was a smoker, or she.
Or the person was like, "Yeah, hey, I'm a smoker. Come on over," because they knew the railings were low there. And then, no, I think honestly she probably got lost walking around and went down there and probably slipped and probably fell over. Truthfully, I don't know. Like, it doesn't. Listen, it could have happened that way. I have no idea.
Maybe the weather was bad. There was that whole.
And who knows? Yeah, she may have been like you were talking about earlier. With Amy Bradley, like maybe it's possible that maybe she was sick. Maybe she got sick. She's throwing up and all of a sudden loses her footing. It's 3 foot. 3 foot is like, I mean, you could fall over that.
It's very high for me. That's over half of my body plus.
But you could still fall over it though.
You
know what I mean? If you were to go like this and like you just lost your footing and your body like top heavy would fall over.
I could see somebody being top heavy. Does she have a big chest?
They're not going to give me that kind of information on here.
This is before Facebook. It was during.
I didn't stalk her to see. Yeah,
no, you stalked
I wasn't.
me?
I know, but I wasn't looking for that. So yeah, I have no idea. That was another one where they're just like, and then the purse thing, and then saying supposedly that the camera was covered up. That's kind of shady.
Yeah, except. Anytime we've ever had to use our cameras.
No, but it was like covered up. It wasn't like it just wasn't working. It was physically covered up. Somebody covered the camera.
What was it covered with?
I don't have they didn't say in there.
Like that could be covered up, could be somebody actually physically putting something over it, or it could be like something got in the way and it was covered.
Like a dolphin?
Oh. No, I was more thinking like...
Does he call you at home?
What is going on?
It's from Ace Ventura. Jesus. And everyone knows out there you have to take a drink now. Every time. Anyway. So, yeah, I have no idea.
That's a thing you do?
Oh, yeah. Anytime we reference a movie or a TV. Yeah. TV show. Yeah. Okay. They have to take a drink. So, anyway, we have no idea. And hopefully, again, they can find, what's going on here. So, we got a couple more here. This is Marion Carver. And she was born in Massachusetts, in Cambridge. And on April 3rd of 1964 is when she was born. Okay. So she was a former banker who liked writing and traveling. And her dad said she was an overachiever, was a sensitive person, and just loved to travel. And she was an adventurous person. Okay. So she boarded a plane from Boston to Seattle, Washington on August 27th of 2004. She doesn't tell anyone where she's going. Okay. What she's doing, nothing. She just packs her belongings and just heads out. She's gone.
She got a dude on the internet.
Maybe. She didn't tell her family where she was going, but this is kind of who she was. She was just a very free-spirited person that just kind of like would up and go do shit like this. You know what I mean? So she decides to go on a cruise by herself. Allegedly by herself. Like you said, she may, who knows? This is 2004, so...
She met a dude.
Right. So she boards the Royal Caribbean Celebrity Mercury cruise ship in Seattle, bound for Alaska. The cruise ship she boards has 12 decks and a capacity of 2,000 passengers. And this wasn't the first time she was ever on a cruise ship either. She's taken multiple cruises before. Now, she was staying on the 9th floor, okay, with a panoramic deck view, which sounds amazing if it were on land. And while she's on board, there's a huge party going on, okay? And this is the one when I said earlier, like, this is like the one that got me, like, fucked up or whatever. I was mistaken when I said the one prior. This is the one I'm like, holy shit. So anyway, there's a party going on. And there's parties pretty much every night on those damn ships. You know, everyone goes down there and there's music and dancing and drinking and all that. So, but she was alone and by herself. So she was very like guarded the whole time, which is smart. You're by yourself. You're a woman on a cruise ship. And she doesn't approach anyone on the ship or strike up conversation with anybody. But some people do kind of try to come up and talk to her or whatever. And she's kind of like standoffish or whatever. So she ends up going back to her cabin to write in her journal, because remember, she likes to write. And when the ship's steward, okay, the guy that goes around giving the towels and, do you need anything today? Yes, ma'am, yes. The ones that cater to you. Right. So he just walks in, okay, because she asked for towels earlier. So the doors for these cabins, they lock electronically, okay, and there's no safety latches or deadbolts to hold the door shut or anything like that. So, like in some hotel rooms, you got that latch, the safety latch. So there's nothing like that. So if somebody has the key card, they just go ding, ding, and you can open it up and come right in. Okay, so he did. Now, was he just doing his job? Maybe. Seems a little bit weird that he just kind of walked in. Anyway, and it's also something that actually scared Marion. She was kind of afraid. Again, she's standoffish. She's by herself. She's just kind of there, you know what I mean? And of course, somebody just walks in. You're like, what the fuck, Right. So she spends the following day on the ship just riding and roaming around. And her daughter actually tried to reach her the night before, but she didn't have any cell reception. This is 2004. So she decides to stay in her room and just read a book because, there's, again, another party going on. She's not really a big partier. She's there to just kind of relax and unwind. And on the second day, it was Saturday, between 8 to 8:30 p.m., the steward walks into her room yet again. Remember, there's no fucking lock, and if you got the key card, you can get right in. So there was a formal party going on, like a black tie affair, if you will.
Well, for dinner.
For dinner, right.
That's what they do.
Right, you dress up.
Right.
So now, practically everyone on board was there. The steward apologized for entering her room, just walking in, even though he's done it before, which is fucked up, and asked her if she was going down to the the black tie formal party or whatever, and she said she was not going to go down. So allegedly, she asked the steward if he could assist her in ordering some room service, where she ordered 2 sandwiches, not just one, but 2. And a lot of people think that's weird. So is she ordering? Maybe she's just hungry, or is she ordering it for her and the steward? That seems odd, though, right?
Or she's saving one for later.
Very possible. Very possible. But a lot of people are like, that doesn't seem right. So now she offers the steward a tip, but he says no, claiming that he must, serve her. That's what he's there for. And that's how they are there for the most part. They're very like catering and like, too much, to the point where you're like, dude, leave me the fuck alone. So she finishes her meal, places the dish on the floor outside the room, and puts some money aside for the steward, which she will give him in the morning, and then heads to bed. Even though he said no, she's like, no, I'm going to give him to him. Give him some money, whatever. So now the steward arrives the following day, takes the dishes that she left, and sees that she's not in her room. Remember, this motherfucker just kind of walks in and has no contact with her at all that morning. So the cabin, he searches the ship for her because he's like, wait a minute, this is weird. She's not here. She doesn't go anywhere. Like this woman, this is all coming from the steward. She's kind of a hermit. She stays in her room or whatever, and she's not there. So he's kind of like, he claims that he's kind of like, where is she? So he wants to go look for her. So he goes and he's looking around, can't find her, and then he goes to the supervisor's office to inform them that, that she's missing, which seems very presumptuous, but maybe he's just an attentive person. Like, hey, I've been talking to this lady. We hung out. I helped her with, ordering stuff. I don't think she would just disappear. Right. And like I've looked everywhere. So the supervisor calls the ship's stewards, all the stewards, to his office and asks them to sign a non-disclosure agreement. Okay? It's an NDA for you folks out there, and that's a legally binding contract that ensures confidentiality between 2 parties In other words, if you're going to sign this, and if you say shit, I can fucking sue you. So he makes them all sign one of these. Kind of weird. But if they're saying, listen, this woman is missing, he's probably like covering his ass, like, oh shit, sign this now.
Don't be running around telling everyone.
Correct. Like,
you're looking for a body when we're in hour 1 of we don't know what the fuck is going on.
Correct. Like, shut the fuck up. Sign
It's
this. Shut up.
Protocol.
And it probably is. So now, her father added that they have emails revealing the process of covering up her disappearance. And in the email, someone was asking, so they're not sure who was actually sending these emails. Like, they know who certain people receiving it were, or maybe sending it, but not all the way back and forth because of emails. Let's see. First of all, it says, did you check her onboard account? Did she make any purchases? This person or persons answered no, there were no purchases. Can I have her CPAS data and photo, which they said they already sent, to know where they are looking for and when she got on the cruise? And 3, have you checked the security cameras? The security is looking into it, they said. So they know, and they're trying to, I don't know.
They're working on it.
They're working on it. I don't really see a cover up happening there.
I don't see
I just feel like
wrong.
they're trying to be on point with this, you know.
Right.
So a week goes by since her said she has even talked to her,
nothing.
Yeah, she hasn't talked to her daughter or anything like that. So she calls the father. Okay, her daughter calls the father and informs him that she can't contact her mom. So the father, Ken, tries to call Marion, but nothing comes through. He rings her apartment landline phone, like back at home, but no one answers. They contacted Cambridge police and filed a missing persons report. The police go to Marion's residence to investigate, and when they arrive, they look for traces of a break-in. Nothing at all seemed out of line or unusual, so they took her laptop and some belongings to kind of, to look through, yeah. They ask her neighbors whether they have seen or heard anything from her, but they are still waiting to find out where she is.
I'm excited to find out where this twist of like, holy shit is.
Well, back on board the cruise, the claims operation manager and hotel operation managers meet with the supervisor, and the steward wants to approach the manager and explain what occurred. He wants to say something to them. The steward returns to the room to double check everything. Nothing has changed whatsoever, and even the money's still there, right? So he informs his boss that Marion wasn't in her room, and for each day that Marion is gone, he goes back and tells the supervisor. And the supervisor just says, listen, just do your job. Don't worry about it. So he was going back over and over again like, okay, she's gone, dude. She still hasn't come back. Like, something's wrong. So the steward even made her bed and also left like chocolates and flowers and all this stuff on her bed because obviously
that's what they do.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's what they do. But he also so he was just doing his job. But in the meantime, he's also worried about this lady. So the private investigator stated that because she was on the 9th floor, she'd been on the deck and near the ship's edge if she took the elevator and went 2 floors up. And if you took the elevator from the 9th to the 6th floor, the first thing you'd see is the deck and the edge of the ship. And you might easily be pushed overboard or fall, especially if it's early in the morning when no one is awake and strolling around.
Yeah, and if you walk into a lion's den, you could be eaten.
Do they have lions on ships?
I'm just saying, like...
And if a frog had wings? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the truth? Yeah. And if my uncle had a dick, it'd be my aunt. No, wait. If my aunt had a dick...
Your uncle.
If my aunt had... Moving on. Anyway, you know what I'm saying.
If your aunt had a dick,
it'd be my
your
uncle. There it is. So 3 weeks after her disappearance, her parents beg the FBI to help, and they continue to call the Cambridge police, but nothing happens. So police could access Marion's bank account and discover that she had purchased a ticket for an Alaskan cruise. Ken Carver contacts the cruise ship and inquires about Marion's whereabouts. Now remember, nobody knew she was on this cruise ship.
Other than the daughter and the family.
The daughter is like, I haven't heard from mom, and maybe she didn't even tell the daughter where she was at. Remember what we were saying earlier? So right now, this is the dad going, okay, we got to get a hold of her. So they're contacting her, but then they found out that she actually got on the cruise, right? She was and they said, yes, she was on the cruise, but they have no idea if she got off the cruise. And then they ask, is there any surveillance footage of Marion on the cruise? Okay, no, there is no video. It's been 3 weeks. It's been erased. So this is what they're claiming. So Ken contacts the private investigator because the FBI and Cambridge police have no jurisdiction over the ship. So this private investigator arrives on the ship 2 months after Marion's disappearance and talks with the claims manager. Remember, they're the ones that were like trying to go, listen, this is what we're doing. Still, he also wanted to speak with the cabin attendant, okay, the steward, who was unavailable and on another ship. Now, it's been 2 months, so maybe they put him on it, whatever. He was also informed that the supervisor was unavailable. Quote, the only person you actually need to talk to is me because I have all the essential information. That's the guest claim representative said. Now, while he was on the ship, Tim, the investigator here, discovers that the windows on Marion's floor, the 9th floor with the panoramic view, are latched and bolted, making it impossible to open the windows. So it's not like that's where she went out. Remember earlier they were talking about if you went to different floors, though, you could lose your bearing and possibly fall, you know. So he asked about viewing the security cameras, and they also informed him that the footage is deleted every 2 weeks. So then Tim requests to speak with the security officer, but they refuse because they are training new employees. He's busy. Sorry. So then Ken, this is the dad, hired lawyers from Massachusetts and Florida in January of 2005. And after months of, a lot of work. Ken. Yeah, he seems to be, very fortuitous. Yeah. They then can obtain subpoenas for the cruise ship's crew, so they can actually talk to the crew now.
Right. Force them.
Right. In a telephone deposition, the 2 cruise line stewards testify, and Ken finds that they were aware of her alleged abduction, but did not do anything about it. So remember, the one
got signed the non-compete.
Right. But remember, the steward was going over to telling his boss, like, listen, this lady is not returned. And he's like, dude, shut the fuck up. Do your job.
Right.
So now it's coming out. Well, like, wait a minute. They knew about this for days, if not a week or weeks, So the steward who spent the most time with her recalls seeing her on the first day of the cruise and discovering she was missing 2 days later. He reports it to his supervisor several times, and the supervisor, again, says, do your job. The steward approaches the supervisor and asks, what shall I do with her belongings? Remember, all her stuff's still in her room. Put it in a bag and put it in a locker, the supervisor replied. So they just disposed of it all. Got rid of it. Like she wasn't even fucking there.
Like, put it in a locker, got rid of it? Or like...
They put it in a bag and put it in a locker.
And
then disposed of it. So the captain, staff captain, and hotel director have keys to all the rooms, right? And they can walk into anyone's cabin or anyone's space.
I see where you're going.
So the question that you can ask
staff member did this.
Who else may have had keys, though?
Well, okay, so the guy that was cleaning her room and taking care of her and, keeping an eye on her.
Right.
Maybe he told someone on the ship, like, yeah, I got this lady. She's traveling by herself. This is so weird. He probably told the wrong person, and the wrong person was like, no, nobody will know if she's missing.
It's very possible. So a second deposition is scheduled with the ship's manager of hotel operations. The manager stated that despite no one on the boat acknowledging Marion's disappearance, the cruise line company launched its own internal inquiry and fired the steward supervisor for failing to disclose her disappearance. Not the steward. Not the steward. The supervisor. The one he kept going to.
Right.
And the guy was like, just do your fucking job.
Yeah, that's HR right there covering their asses.
So it began, the investigation began at the end of September when a Cambridge investigator contacted the... What? Hold on.
Sure.
What? Shut up, Siri. What are you doing? Why does she do that all the time?
They're listening.
They are listening. I hate Siri. I like Alexa much better. Oh, no. No, don't do it.
No, I should do it.
Okay, no.
Because they don't ever listen.
Yeah, but I just don't want her talking right now.
I say, hey, Alexa.
Damn it.
And nothing happens. Ever. Right?
No,
see?
literally, she doesn't do anything.
No, she doesn't do anything.
It's so funny.
I'll be like, turn on the lights. Nothing. Turn on the lights. Nothing.
She really doesn't listen.
John will be like, hey, Alexa, turn on the lights. And then all of a sudden, all the lights turn on. And I'm like,
yeah, well, because I have a commanding voice.
You do.
Kind of like Rob Ram. Woo! Sorry. So, again, the guy got fired, and then they were going through and, just basically talking to everybody, and no one on the ship supposedly ever reported a missing person, okay? So, like, no one on the staff ever reported. So 5 weeks after her disappearance, the cruise line filed a missing person report with the FBI. 5 weeks.
Yeah, after they were like, fuck, we can't do anything.
Yep.
Is it?
Still, the FBI couldn't investigate it because they have no authority over the cruise ship.
And the cruise ship was an Alaskan cruise ship, but it wasn't.
No, I do. Did we?
It was the Royal
Caribbean.
From where?
Wait,
Russia?
Hold on. It's from Mother Russia.
I'm just teasing.
It has vodka on every level. Oh, so nice. Let's see. Actually, it doesn't say where its registration's from on that one.
Okay.
But obviously, it's not the United States, so
Right.
yeah. So they can't do shit, is what they're saying.
Canada. Hey.
Oh, hey, Canada. No, Canada would be like, oh no, we'll help you out there. We'll do it for you, whatever you need. Sorry.
Is that what they do?
Yeah. You want some poutine? God, I love poutine. Anyway, so they, I'm going back. You made me skip all through this. Sorry, guys. Where the, oh my God, you screwed me all up.
I'm sorry.
You're fine. There it is. They couldn't investigate. Okay. So then Ken, okay, this is the father, whatever, writes to the cruise line's chairman and board of directors expressing his need for answers and closure over what happened to his daughter. A month later, he received a copy of the security report, a report that was filed on September 30th and written by the manager of security, noted that company regulations had been violated and that the ship's captain, the security office, and the ship's captain, the security office and the ship's captain, and it says it twice, should have been notified when she vanished. Yeah, duh.
Right.
Yes, of course they should have. And according to the report, her possessions should have stayed where they were. It's a missing person. At that point, this is an open investigation.
Yeah, this is 2004, though?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people are probably not the brightest back then. I did a lot of stupid shit in 2004.
Okay, we're not going to talk about that. So basically they're saying that like they didn't use protocol. They didn't
do what they should have done.
So according to the report, the ship's security personnel must also protect the site and safeguard the integrity of the incident scene, ensuring that nothing is moved or interfered with until outside investigators reach on board. But the problem is that when the steward was going to tell them, listen, this lady's missing, they were like, no, shut up, don't worry about it.
And it sounds like they're just dealing with a bunch of idiots.
Right, it does. It sounds like, again, incompetence.
Right.
So now, so Ken Carver here, the father, went and kind of cleared her apartment, okay? Like took everything out of it, donated a bunch of belongings to charity, and kept some personal stuff for the family. And he continues to contact the Coast Guard, police, and FBI asking for updates. And in addition, his lawyers, pretty much are contacting him all the time. So he filed a lawsuit against the cruise line for being careless and negligent. The legal struggle became public in August of 2005, and the cruise line made a statement declaring that she was dead.
Oh.
However, they told Ken that they checked the footage, which they claimed had been removed since the start of the investigation. Remember, they said they deleted it. So how are they checking it now? And after watching it, she jumped overboard.
Oh.
Right. So first, we deleted that, and sorry. And now all of a sudden, we watched it, and she totally jumped.
Do they have proof that they can hand over?
Well, a letter from the cruise line said, quote, Miss Carver had severe emotional problems. It actually says serve. It's misspelled, which is hilarious. Emotional problems, and had attempted suicide before and appears to have committed suicide on our ship. The death of Marion Carver is a horrible tragedy, but regrettable. There is very little a cruise line, a resort, or hotel can do to prevent someone from committing suicide. Pretty weird that the cruise line could actually assess someone's mental prowess. And how did they know that she had committed or tried to commit suicide before?
Well, that's got to be public.
No, that's HIPAA shit. You cannot find anything like that.
Okay, so if someone calls a police department...
They can't tell you anything.
What? No, but aren't 911 calls public?
911 calls? Well, yeah, I guess.
Okay.
If they went through... So you're trying to tell me that this ship...
Who has a lot of money...
But yet Disney wouldn't do that, though? Because earlier you contested that.
Disney seems like they did that. Disney won.
Just because they did Lion King doesn't mean they're cool.
I'm just saying it sounds like it's a bunch of younger employees who probably don't know processes of things on Disney.
But they still have to have people that are in management and that do stuff.
I get that. I'm just saying, hypothetically, if you switch off of the Disney and go to this one, it seems like, I don't know. I could be wrong.
I just don't see some cruise ship going to contact 911 reports from a woman that lives in Nebraska or whatever. What, you know what I mean? Like,
why?
What do you mean? Why? For what?
You don't want to look into this person that is missing.
They didn't look into her being missing to begin with. Now all of a sudden they're going to.
I'm saying, like, once you find out, like, oh shit, I'm getting sued here.
There's no way they'd be able to know that. There's no way. And not only that, but how are you going to speculate on someone's emotional problems?
I don't know. They could have talked to a couple different people that know him, and
well,
who knows?
Oh, Ken, the guy you said you like here, Ken Carver, he stated that if it was suicide, he wanted evidence rather than simply writing it off as a suicide to close a case and hope the family would accept their conclusion. Okay, which makes sense because remember, that videotape, it was erased, but we watched it and she totally jumped. Well,
right.
Then show me the videotape. And if you did see that videotape and if it was erased, you are now responsible, and you are
holding evidence.
It's like what is it called? Negligible, whatever. Somebody died, and you didn't say anything about it. You watched someone die. Like, that's criminal. That's a criminal offense right there.
How far away was this?
Oh boy, I'm not going back through
like
this.
3 months or something.
It was 3 weeks after when they
weeks.
first reported her, but this is actually months after.
September.
Yeah,
and it was April 3rd.
It's December,
August,
I thought.
September. No, I think it was April 3rd because I was also going to say like right towards that March 28th.
Well, regardless, it was after the fact.
So it's 5 months after.
So
a lot
now
of stuff going on.
So now Ken continues on here and says that there's an issue with the cruising industry because so many individuals have gone missing while on cruises and no one knows what happened to them. So he contacts for additional families who have lost people on these, and together they form the internationalcruisevictims.org. Remember that one I read the widow's thing from? He's one of the people that actually got together with them and helped form this company.
He seems like he's pretty bright.
He seems awesome. So whose mission is to penalize corporations that operate outside the law and fail to take necessary action when crimes occur. Now, in 2015, a decade after her disappearance, Senator Blumenthal of Connecticut and Senator Markey of Massachusetts introduced the Cruise Passenger Protection Act of 2015. As a result, ensuring improvements that have been implemented, and cruise lines are held accountable for reporting crimes and crime prevention on the seas.
You know, you would think that just cruise lines would just have like a very light net around everything. So anything that falls off is just not even going to touch the water.
Yeah, it should have. Absolutely. Should have netting all around it. So just in case.
Just in case. And not thick enough to the point where you wouldn't be able to see through it.
Like a fishing net.
Yeah, but
even fishing net would be good, you know?
Just thin enough to, like, you know, I don't know, be able to catch 500 pounds.
Just people.
3 people fell off.
Just people. Well, that's it, people. Yeah, have it sectioned off. All right, so again, they have no answers for that one. So now this one is extreme. It's a short one, but it's extremely sad, in my opinion. So in the last days of the Vietnam War, Hugh Pham and his wife, Hugh Tran, spent 2 difficult weeks on a cramped container ship. What?
His name is...
Remember, their names are reversed. So Hugh is actually their technically last. That's their surname. So like us is John and Grace Sayer. There is Pham and Tran Hugh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
So they spent 2 weeks on a cramped shipping container. Okay. On a ship, adrift with no food and little water in the South China Sea. This is right at the end of the Vietnam War. They were escaping.
Was this legal or
illegal? No. Yeah, they were escaping.
Okay.
The couple survived this desperate flight from Vietnam, but They strapped up their boots, or strapped up their, you know what I'm saying. They tied their shoes and went on, and they built a new life in America. And then 3 decades later, they decided to take a cruise on a ship called the Carnival Destiny. Okay. There are a few facts about the couple's disappearance on the Destiny as it sailed between Barbados and Aruba on May 12th of 2005. After a fruitless onboard search, the ship, joined by the U.S. Coast Guard, eventually retraced its path. But unfortunately, no trace of their bodies was ever found. The only thing left behind were their shoes lying on the deck. Go ahead.
No.
What?
No. I mean, I'm just, don't they take off their shoes for a lot of things?
Well, especially if you're going to commit suicide together.
Oh, you think that's what it is?
Well, their son is Michael Pham. His name is actually son Michael Pham. Maintained that his parents had no reason to take their own lives and were, in fact, they were planning on going back to Vietnam for a visit and were looking forward to meeting their relatives that they haven't seen.
Right. Yeah.
So, quote, 2 American citizens with no personal or financial problems, no serious health problems, living the happiest times of their lives, both vanished without a trace or witness.
Yeah, that's not suicide.
That's what the son said. So the cruise had been a Mother's Day gift for the couple, and they were on board the ship with their daughter and granddaughter. They actually had their daughter and granddaughter with them. Quote, I immediately flew down to California, went through their home, and tried to find one clue, something unusual, and I couldn't. And their son says, that's what he was saying at the time. Since then, with the help of other bereaved families, son Michael, their son, helped establish a group called the International Cruise Victims. He's another one. Remember, I said the last guy, Ken, actually reached out to other families.
Right.
Again, they're all kind of going together to make this.
The daughter and the granddaughter were on this cruise.
Yes.
Were they in the same room?
I do not have that information in front of me. I don't believe so, from what I saw. And the shoes being on the deck, they literally... They could have taken their shoes off.
Yeah, they could have been sitting down.
They could have been sunbathing. They could have been doing anything.
Yeah, just hanging out.
Right.
And put their flip-flops with their room number and name on the deck, just in case anybody hops on the
You feel better?
deck and
Feel better about that?
Their shoes.
Feel better that you got that out?
I mean, people do it. I guess it's a thing. I've never heard of it before, but now that I know that it's a thing, I'm going to use this.
You are not putting your anything on anything. Stop it right now.
On your shoes, not mine.
On mine. Thanks. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody knows anything about this at all. There's no, I mean, when you talk about how the other ones have like some speculations and sightings and things like that, and we've got, well, we found this and found this. The only thing they have
are shoes.
Are the shoes sitting on the deck. Now, is it at all possible? They were older. Is it possible that maybe one of them may have found out they had a disease,
terminal disease.
Yeah, like, is it something?
And they both jumped off
together. I mean,
that's stupid.
It's not. How's it stupid?
Stooping to it's. I don't know. Their granddaughter. You have a granddaughter.
But if
I find out that I have cancer, are you going to be like, you know what? Let's hop.
But you've got to also remember that it's to go out on your own terms is a huge thing. That's a very big thing. Honor and respect and all that stuff. And to not have that. And not only that, but you survived Vietnam in a shipping container, came over, created a life for yourself, and then you decide to go onto a cruise ship. And what? Just
did the family look into if they had any medical problems?
According to the son, he says no, they haven't seen anything or found anything like that. But again, out of respect for the family, so those families are very much
private,
very private and prideful,
right?
So maybe he's just saying like, no, it's done. I don't want to dive any further. You know what I mean? I don't know. There could be all kinds of stuff. It's
okay,
just, it's weird.
Let's say that's your choice A. What's your choice B?
For what?
This scenario.
They fell over and one of them took the other one with them on accident.
Maybe they were like making sweet, passionate love on the balcony. That's why their shoes were off. She was hoisted up on the ledge. Asian people are small, though, I guess. Even if it was 3 feet.
You're small. What are you talking about?
That's why I said I wouldn't be able to go over it if I tried. But
I highly doubt that the older couple were banging it out on the deck of a cruise ship.
Asian people are freaky.
So you think they were just getting it on, huh?
They were just rough.
And just missed footing and fell over, huh?
Lost their shoes.
I fucking hope that's what happened.
That would be the best case
I do.
scenario.
I honestly hope that that's what happened. That they were banging it out.
Every one of these. This is the one I have the most hope for.
Yeah, that's still sad either way. All right, so I've got one more here. And this one's going to end on a pretty... it's kind of rough, but... So, Christopher Caldwell disappeared from a Carnival cruise ship headed from Miami, Florida to Cozumel, Mexico. You've been to Cozumel, right?
I have.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
In July of 2004, Caldwell had gone on the cruise with his wife. Okay. According to the letter written by Caldwell's family as posted on internationalcruisevictims.org, Caldwell and his fiance, or excuse me, wasn't his wife, it's soon-to-be wife.
Okay.
Had dinner and drinks before she decided to turn in, and he decided to visit the casino. You know, he's going to do a little gambling. She's tired. It's cool. However, when the fiance, I spelled fiance.
Say that
again. so when his fiance, she woke up in the morning, she found that he hadn't come back. So he was last spotted on the ship's deck. The bartender who saw him said he seemed highly intoxicated, and no one knows what happened next, though it is suspected that Caldwell fell overboard. So now this is a letter posted on that same website, internationalcruisevictims.org, and you guys can go on there and you can look at this, and there's some heart-wrenching stuff on there. But this one comes from Christopher's mother. So, quote, on July 23rd, 2004, I received a call that changed my life forever. My son, Christopher Paul Caldwell, had gone on a Carnival cruise to Mexico with his fiancée. On the last night of the cruise, Chris and his fiancée went to dinner with some friends they had met on the cruise. They had drinks and went to a couple of nightclubs on the ship. When the couple and Chris's fiancée went back to their cabins to pack and turn in for the night, Chris decided to stay in the casino and play a little longer. He told his fiancée that he would be back in the cabin shortly. He never returned. The next day, when Chris's fiancée woke up at 6:30 a.m., she realized that he had not been back to the cabin and proceeded to look for him. After checking all possible places where he might have been, she went to the information desk and had him paged. This effort was to no avail. Video surveillance cameras showed Chris leaving the casino at 2:17 a.m. Interviews with crew members revealed that a bartender saw Chris on the promenade deck at 3:30 a.m. and claimed that Chris appeared to be very drunk. Instead of escorting him to his cabin, the bartender ignored his condition. Chris was never seen again, and to this day, we don't know what happened to him.
Oh, he fell off.
She goes on, it was just 8 days before he celebrated his 37th birthday. It is presumed that Chris fell overboard about 14 miles southeast of the Cape Florida lighthouse. The Coast Guard began an extensive search that lasted for more than 36 hours. During these searches, there was no sign of Chris. On the afternoon of the 24th, I received a call from my daughter, Shannon, informing me that the Coast Guard had called off the search and that Chris was presumed dead. Those words were like a bomb going off in my head. All I could do was scream and cry. That day, a part of my heart was destroyed and can never be replaced. I still look at his pictures with his 3 girls, and I can't believe that he is really gone from us. If someone had just cared enough to take him to his room, or if there had been video surveillance cameras monitoring the deck where he had last been seen, maybe he would be here today. Perhaps we wouldn't have been forced to go through such intense grief. So many lives have been hurt by the loss of Chris. I am unable to even watch a Carnival Cruise advertisement on TV without crying. One thing is for sure, my son, Christopher Paul Caldwell, was not insignificant. He was a very special and fun-loving person. A great son and a wonderful dad to Jessica, Shelby, and Kaylee. We all miss him very much. It makes me very sad that this type of thing keeps happening to other families. It has to stop. End quote. It's from the mom.
It's sad.
That's so sad. I mean, but that truthfully sounds like he fell overboard.
This is the one.
But that just means that there should be
And the last one.
There should be things there.
Yeah.
To safeguard people.
But okay, so you should be liable for how much you physically serve someone.
We are.
Legally, you cannot see signs and symptoms of someone being intoxicated.
You're over-serving.
And having that be legal.
Yeah.
So on a cruise line, you would think that would be the case too.
Well, the problem with the cruise line is that there's no way for them to get behind like a vehicle. You know, what are they going to do? Well, other than fall off the fucking boat.
Falling off a boat.
But what are they going to do?
Thing.
You know? I mean, obviously, it's a huge thing. But it's the only thing.
The bartender sees at 3:00 in the morning that this guy's intoxicated, and we're all just going to like...
But we don't know if there are laws instilled in that. We don't know if maybe that
there
bartender...
should be.
Well, we don't know if there is or is not. All we know is that this bartender... And we don't know if this bartender was the one serving him or not. Because remember, there's multiple bars on these fucking things. So it's very possible that he just saw him and was like, eh. But now, again, we don't know if, but somebody should be held liable for his condition. But on the other side of that, too, I am a firm believer. You're an adult, man. You know what I mean? You're going to make these decisions, and you're going to, if you decide to take yourself from 0 to midnight real fast, that's on you.
On that train.
On the midnight train. I like it. That's a good one. Anyway. That one, I do very much believe that he probably...
A couple of them.
Accidentally fell off.
A couple of them are a little suspicious, but you know what? I appreciate going through all these scenarios because, I was just thinking best way to do it would be... Well, at first I thought, like, stab with a fork a couple times, like a little tiny puncture, and then throw them off the side so that there was a blood trace, but not like a splatter. So they couldn't find it in the room.
Why are you going to stab? What? Wait.
The fork. Stab with a fork.
Okay.
Right.
Now, if you were to actually stab them with something more significant where like the gases inside the body don't actually expand and then float to the top, then they're going to just go down anyway. Yeah,
but by that time, sharks will get you.
Well, not necessarily.
If you stab them with a fork. Tell that joke about the stabbing with the fork. No.
Really? I don't know if I've told it on here before. I may or may not. Okay.
I love this.
All right. So
story.
So 3 guys. They get stranded on a deserted island, but it's got a bunch of cannibals on it. So it's an island it's not deserted, I guess. But so it's an island of cannibals. Yes. And so, they're sitting there and they're the cannibals go up and they go, listen, we're going to kill you, and then we're going to skin you, and then we're going to turn your skin and into our canoes. We're going to put it on the outside.
Yes.
So, however, because we are honorable, we will allow you to choose the way you die. First guy's like, oh man, I don't know. Gun's quick, gun's fast, right?
Right.
So they go over, and I don't know why cannibals have a gun, but anyway, they go over and bang, he falls down dead. They take his body away. He's going to be turned into a canoe. Second guy is sitting there just distraught, like, oh man, a knife. I'll take a knife. So they hand him a knife, and he takes it and he slices his own throat. Falls down, dead. They haul him away. Going to turn him into a canoe. Last guy sits around for a second, just see him kind of thinking. He's like, I want a fork. They're like, a fork? Okay. But they're cannibals, so they're like, cool, let's just cook eating, So they hand him the fork or whatever, and he starts stabbing his own chest. He's like, you're not making a fucking canoe out of me. You do love that joke. You've had me tell that joke like a million times. It's so funny.
I think that's one of the only ones that I have that I'm like, please tell the fork joke.
That's kind of sad. That's.
I'm sorry.
So sad about that.
Yes.
So anyway, I think that one, out of all of them, that's the one that leads me kind of going, okay, I think that he drank way too much. Someone should have done something. But
so, I'm going to make this quick, but how funny is it that if you think of switching the roles around and making it the like a woman, you would think differently on what happened.
Why? Why would you say that?
Like you see a girl that's really drunk, then all of a sudden they don't go back to their room.
Oh, you think like something bad's going to happen.
Instantly you would be like, oh, some motherfucker took her. They probably took her to the room. They like lured her in. They did all these things. But if it's a guy, you're like, yeah, you got drunk and fell off the, boat.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
I guess.
If you were to switch this story around, more than likely the majority of us would be like,
you're just immediately thinking that something's happened to the woman that's going to be
and not a man. So
way
how
more
funny
nefarious.
Is that?
Yeah.
Like you think like any of these stories, you talk about women and you're like, oh, they got abducted. I said that horribly wrong. I'm sorry.
There you go. That's that wine kicking in. Woo!
But the couple, I'm like, oh, they made love and fell off the side. And then when you talk about the man,
which I do love, that's still my favorite. I don't think that's what happened.
I know, but think,
I do. I hope that's what happened.
Right.
I do.
But you talk about a man and you're like, well, he got drunk and fell off because he's an idiot.
Well,
Isn't that funny?
We are. We're not calling the victim an idiot, by the way. We're saying men in general we're dummies.
No, not dummies.
We are. Yeah, we are.
I'm just saying.
Well, it's like the other one earlier you were talking about. The guy you were speculating and postulating, but that he was drunk. They were taking him back, and he got all, God, what are you guys doing? You know what I mean? Now, we don't know if that's what happened or not.
Horrible that that's the way.
Yeah, but I mean,
your mind goes to.
It's just kind of. And you're sexist.
I don't. You said, Grace, if you're going to be on this with me, no judging anyone.
Yeah, well,
and I just judged every single one.
Pretty much everything, yeah.
You cannot put me into these scenarios and have me not judge
Judgy McJudgerton.
What am I going to do? Just sit there and be like, yeah, I think they might have had some alcoholic beverages and they probably didn't do anything stupid because not that they're a man and they would do anything stupid.
Now you're being sarcastic and judgy.
No. Women do stupid things when they're drunk too.
Oh, I know.
Maybe he got abducted.
Maybe
someone.
And it's very. But again, no. This is in all of the ones that we went through, and there are so many more. These were like the most notable ones, and I just wanted to touch on them. And but it's just this one. It's like it almost looks completely cut and dry to me, but yet there's still like the mom's like something happened. But even she said, if that bartender saw him that drunk, but then again, it also, what is that drunk though? Like if someone says, oh, he was extremely intoxicated, does that mean, was he stumbling and throwing up all over the place? Or was he just kind of like a little tipsy and, he was you know what I mean? Like,
you never know.
Right. And that's the problem. So regardless if these and the plethora of other disappearances were accidents, suicides, or something far more nefarious, I've said that word like a million times a day. It's my word for today.
Is it one a day?
Well, yeah. So anyway, people are still missing, okay? Loved ones,
very
right?
Sad.
Their families and loved ones yearn for closure or even a minutia of information to support that they're alive and well. If you or someone you know has information about a missing person, please get in touch with your local authorities. In most cases, you can still, remain anonymous. As for me, I will not ever be on another cruise ship.
Yes, you will.
And now, boys and girls, it's your favorite part of the show, the movie review. Which top 10 movies will make the cut today?
All right, so today in the movies, we're talking about the top horror movies about cruise ships. Yes.
Oh, I think I've only seen one cruise ship horror movie.
Well, it's actually best of ship horror movies. So not necessarily just cruise ships, but it's ships.
Okay.
Ships are involved.
Let's hear.
So number 10 from 1989, and this is from IMDb, the IMDb. You know how that is. We like that one because it's got all the stars and stuff on there. So this is The Abyss from 1989. You were 6 when this movie came out. I love this movie.
Yeah, I don't watch movies, so I think like legit.
Well, you weren't allowed to watch movies.
No, I've only seen 2. Titanic being one.
Well, we'll see if it's on here.
Go ahead.
I doubt it, but we'll see.
It's not a horror movie.
I mean, I don't know. A lot of people died.
What's the one movie where they had the wire that cut everyone in half? And then that cruise ship was like...
Is that Die Hard? I know that happened in Die Hard 3.
Was it?
Die Hard 3 with
it was
the
a movie.
That happened in that. I'm not sure which one you're exactly talking about.
Like were people trying to find treasure for a ship and then I don't know.
And it cut them in half? Well, I don't know. Let's see if we'll talk about it.
Okay.
So this is The Abyss. Loved this movie. It's a James Cameron movie. Ed Harris, Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, Michael Biehn, and Leo Burmeister. Let's see. Grossed $54.46 million. A civilian diving team is enlisted to search for a lost nuclear submarine and faces danger while encountering an alien aquatic species. It's actually a great movie. Seriously. Like, I honestly think you would like that. It's not really a horror movie at all. I don't know why they call it that. Because this next one is most definitely not a horror movie. Number 9 from 2003, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. You've probably seen this one.
Probably saw that one. I'm not a big Johnny Depp fan.
I know.
I mean, I like
Johnny
him
Depp.
as a person, just not in movies.
As a person, you and him hang out a lot.
I would.
Calm yourself.
No, I was going to say I would love for us
to
hang out with him.
That's what you were going to say.
We would have a great time with him.
He just sings rather weird, you know. It's the way he always talks. It's just very weird all the time.
I think it's cool.
It's very weird. So, of course, stars Johnny Depp, Jeffrey Rush, Orlando Bloom, and Keira Knightley. It grossed $305.41 million, 8.1 stars. And, okay, I'm not even going to read this. You guys know what the fuck that one is. Number 8 is 1997's Anaconda. My anaconda don't want none that you got. Yeah, if I'm not, is this the, yeah, this is. John Voight, Jennifer Lopez, Eric Stoltz, and Ice Cube. That's right. Yay.
I've never, what is this movie about?
It's about an anaconda.
Big
snake. Big snake. Yes.
On a cruise ship?
No, they're just on a, it's not even really, it's like a pontoon I think they're on or something like that. Yeah, I think this is just, I don't know. This is a weird list.
Have you seen this movie? You hate snakes.
Oh, yeah.
You've seen it?
Oh, yeah. I've seen it.
Did you were you sweating the whole time?
Pretty much. Well, and it's on a boat with snakes.
You don't like boats.
So fuck me twice. Yeah, that's just horrible.
Why would you put yourself through that?
Because
why would
they're
you
horror
want to
movies.
watch it?
That's why you watch stuff like that, because you want to get that, like, you know, you want to be scared, you know.
Feeling in your stomach, like, run.
Run. Dum, dum, dum. So a National Geographic film crew is taken hostage by an insane hunter who forces them along on his quest to capture the world's largest and deadliest snake. It grossed $65.89 million.
Okay.
I love how these are so funny. Number 7's Deep Blue Sea from 1999. No?
No.
It stars Thomas Jane, Saffron Burrows, Jacqueline McKenzie, and the one and only Samuel L. motherfucking Jackson. Searching for a cure to Alzheimer's disease. That seems oddly worded, right? Anyway, a group of scientists on an isolated research facility become the prey as a trio of intelligent sharks fight back. So basically the premise of this one is that so sharks have this ability like to I guess kind of like not replicate. They have cells, and this is an actual true thing, where their cells actually will replicate and kind of like cure other damaged cells, like in their brain and stuff like that.
Right.
So in this, the whole premise is, well, we're going to make them really smart because then it'll help replicate even faster. Except smart sharks are fucking smart sharks.
I don't like sharks.
No.
About as much as you don't like snakes.
No, they're pretty much just the snakes of the sea.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, water snakes are they're horrible.
I don't like it.
I don't mind snakes other than water snakes. I don't like water snakes.
I don't like snakes at all. Number 6 is Piranha 3D from 2010. Grossed $25 million. This has Elizabeth Shue. What? Jerry O'Connell, Richard Dreyfuss, and Ving Rhames. What? That's like an all-star cast.
I've never seen it.
Obviously, I haven't either.
Really?
After a sudden underwater tremor sets free scores of the sets free scores of the prehistoric man-eating fish, an unlikely group of strangers must band together to stop themselves from becoming fish food for the area's new razor-toothed residents. Okay, never heard of that? Well, it's a comedy. It's a horror comedy. But yeah, I'm going to have to watch that. That sounds fun.
Sounds amazing.
That's sarcasm. Number 5, 1999, Virus, starring Jamie Lee Curtis, Donald Sutherland, William Baldwin, and Joanna Pacquiao. Grossed $14.04 million. After outrunning a typhoon at sea, a strong-willed tugboat navigator and her crew discover a high-tech alien life form that's taking control of a Russian research vessel and aims to destroy on a massive scale. Seems like a lot going on.
I feel like I wish they would win.
Just stop making movies like that.
No, like to take over a Russian vessel.
A vessel. Number 4 is the original from 1954, Creature from the Black Lagoon. Richard Carlson, Julie Adams, Richard Denning, and Antonio Moreno grossed $1.3 million. I'm assuming that's probably box office back then, because after that, well, I don't know. Anyway, 6.9 stars. A strange prehistoric beast lurks in the depths of the Amazonian jungle. A group of scientists try to capture the animal and bring it back to civilization for study. And have you seen any?
Yeah, absolutely not.
Number 3, it's just called Below from 2002. Mm-hmm. And let's see, it's grossed $0.61 million, so $610,000. Not good. Bruce Greenwood, David Crow, Matthew Davis, Holt McCallnet, whatever his name is. And all it says is, for the description, strange happenings occur on a World War II submarine. That's all it says.
That could be a vast amount of things.
Yeah. Could be weird. Yeah, it could be like Naked Twister.
Oh.
Yeah, could be.
Have you? No.
I'm
not going to ask you that question. That'd be weird.
Yeah. What? Ew. Anyway, number 2, 2002's Ghost Ship. I wasn't a fan of this. I know a lot of people like this movie.
Is this the movie I'm talking about, Ghost Ship? I think it is.
Maybe. It's a salvage crew discovers a long-lost 1962 passenger ship floating lifeless in a remote region of the Bering Sea, and soon notices that its long-dead inhabitants may still be
I think this
on
is what
board.
I've seen. Dun, dun, dun. Right. I think it's what I've seen.
Maybe.
In the beginning, it had...
I don't remember.
Some type of wire that went across and just... Whoosh,
maybe.
cut everyone
might be.
in half.
If you guys think that... If you guys know that she's talking about this movie, or if it's another movie that she's talking about, let us know. Hit the socials. Tell us.
I don't watch a lot of movies, so I would assume that this would probably be the one.
It might be. But you know what number one's it? Number one's?
Titanic.
Number 1? Negative, Ghost Rider.
Because it's not horror.
This is...
Oh, Jaws.
Yes, Jaws. Absolutely. Good job. See? Love this movie. 1975. The original. All right. When a killer shark unleashes chaos on a beach community off Cape Cod, it's up to a local sheriff, a marine biologist, and an old seafarer to hunt the beast down. Made $260 million.
Whoa. Back in the day?
Yeah.
It's like billions now.
Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss, and Lorraine Gary. Yeah, that's a great movie. Jaws, the original Jaws, is fantastic. It still holds up to this day. It absolutely holds up. I mean, obviously the shark looks like shit, but it actually, to me, it holds up. It's a good movie. The rest of them all sucked, but anyway, so that was your episode for the week, passengers. I do apologize for not being on a weekly release schedule here lately, but things have been crazy and it's just a lot going on. But yeah, I want to thank you very much for listening. All the new passengers jumping on board, especially onto the socials with our, the Facebook pages and all the above. I want to thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. Do me a favor, head on over to the official website, themidnighttrainpodcast.com, for all the info on the show. And at the website, you can buy some super sweet merchandise. And, we got the Duke of Fingerbum shirt. We got the shit-eating robots, the Jersey raccoon that has a switchblade. There are all kinds of cool shirts over there. And hats, phone cases, so much more. So you should do that. And if you like what you heard from us, consider being a show producer by heading to themidnighttrainpodcast.com and clicking on the Patreon button. or go to patreon.com/The Midnight Train Podcast. For as little as $5 a month, you can get all kinds of cool stuff like the, custom shirts, posters, stickers, bonus episodes, all kinds of bonus episodes. And that's where it's at anyway. The bonus episodes are where it's at.
Absolutely. That's where you can kind of loosen up and not be PG.
Got no strings to hold me down. Right? No, I'm sorry. So if you're a diehard Midnight Train fan and you want to help produce this mofo, well, our Patreon is for you. Become a first-class passenger. Most importantly, share the Midnight Train with everyone because word of mouth is how we are just going to continue to keep going and keep this train moving down the line. You know what I mean? I hear the train coming around the bend. Sorry.
That is the one and only karaoke song you've ever done.
Correct. That is literally the only one I've ever done.
You did amazing.
Well, thank you. Lots of alcohol was involved with that one. We were bar hopping pretty hard.
Yeah, you did good.
Yeah, it was fun. I won't ever do it again, but yeah, it was fun.
You might do it again.
Nope, won't do it again.
Billy's getting married soon.
Nope. Yeah.
Karaoke.
We are no. Don't you use that against me.
Kevin Jennings might get you to do it.
Oh, Jenny! Come on, just a toothful.
Yeah,
just a toothful.
He pulls on your heartstrings.
Damn it. So listen, here at the show at the Midnight Train, we do believe in focusing on mental health and for those of us with issues to be able to find the right help. So we're back to supporting a fantastic organization, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. NAMI, N-A-M-I, works to educate, support, advocate, listen, and lead to improving the lives of people with mental illness and their loved ones. We will donate 20% of our merchandise sales and Patreon subscriptions to this extraordinary institution each month. All right. So 20% of what you guys are throwing, we're going to send to them to support the show, get all the bonuses, and help a great cause. Become a first-class passenger over at Patreon. And for more information, to get help or to donate personally, go to nami.org. Don't forget to follow it. Go ahead. You were going to say something?
No.
Oh, you sat up there like you were going to say something.
I was just stretching my back a little.
Don't forget to follow us over on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify, please rate us. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please rate us on Google. Anywhere you can rate us, please do that because that's how, you get new listeners and people kind of do the thing. So, and we can't thank you all enough for all the love and support. You guys are awesome. That's all I can say. And thank you so much for listening. But a very special thank you to our fearless executive producer, Patreon first-class passenger poopers. Sorry, I still have to do it. That one's so loud, I swear. To Jenny Wynn, Riley with no last name, Chris Connors, Amanda C., Micah Purdue, Dale Wells, George DeJesus, Megan McTerry, Amanda Denz, Chris Lucas, Joseph Oramo, Nathan Diekman, Caitlin McKinney, Maggie Brothers, Miles Campbell, Brian Gunzelman, Pumpkin Escobar, Mac Doherty, Janet Sherrill, Chad Flint, Chris McLeod, Justin Kowalczyk, Christina Skelton from the Sisters Skelton podcast, Maria Gibbs, Chainsaw.
What the fuck?
Courtney Batchelor, Katie Brabenek, and of course, Bill Birch.
Billy Birch.
So normally, he gets a, oh, good for you. Do you want to attempt it?
You want me to say, oh, good for you?
Correct. But you got to say it with more, emphasis.
Like a, oh, good for you.
No.
Oh, Billy.
Oh, Billy. Good for you.
Not do that. Weirdo.
Oh, good for you.
Billy. Good for you.
And that's good. Okay. So listen, do us a favor, spread the word, and if you want your name to be mentioned on the show and for us to be forever grateful, please become a Patreon producer, a first-class passenger. And yeah, that's the show for today. Thank you so much, Grace, for being here with me.
Thank you for having me.
Greatly appreciate
I
it.
didn't offend anyone.
Well, that's remain to be seen, I guess. I'm sure someone will let me know.
If I did, please comment on it.
No.
I would love to see all remarks.
You did splendidly.
Okay, thank you.
So now we are off.
Bye, guys.
And then we're off again and off and off again.
Yes.
So thank you guys so much. Seriously, you guys are the greatest. And of course, stay safe out there, passengers. And as always, Shoot, motherfuckers!
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.